The long-awaited school trip has finally arrived. As the students gather, Daniel Park, good-looking body, is immediately surrounded by our Soo and Min Young, who can't hide their excitement at seeing him. Even the guys like Ho Young flock to him. Daniel Park, good-looking body, is the undisputed center of attention, his presence alone turning the parking lot into a fan meet. Dressed in a stylish orange hoodie and carrying designer luggage, Daniel Park, good-looking body, radiates an aura that makes him look like a different species compared to the average student. Internally, he's just relieved. This trip is a rare break from his grueling convenience store shifts. He hopes Daniel Park, original body, can use this time to get some deep sleep. Reflects on his past. In middle school, Daniel Park, original body, was always stuck in the very front row, right under the teacher's watchful eye. It was a position of isolation. But things have changed. Now, sitting comfortably on the bus, he's prepared a massive playlist to enjoy the journey in peace. In the back, Zach stares at the empty seats with longing. He's never dreamed of sitting in the cool section until now. Bus is a hive of activity. While some complain about motion sickness, others are already diving into snacks and planning games for the long ride. Nearby, Jae Yeol remains his mysterious, silent self, already drifting off to sleep as the engine hums to life. The convoy of buses pulls out, a line of steel heading down the highway toward the mountains. To kill time, the students start a game of slap hands. The atmosphere is tense as everyone tries to avoid the stinging penalty. Min Young loses the round. She looks devastated, her eyes welling up as she realizes she's about to be hit. Zach steps up, his competitive nature flaring. He vows to take the hit in Min Young's place, his face set in a mask of determination, declaring it revenge for her loss. Min Young is terrified. She can't believe her luck, wondering why a simple game has turned into such an ordeal. The hand comes down. It's not a slap, but a precise, heavy strike that lands with sickening force. Zach's reaction is instantaneous. His face contorts into a ridiculous display of agony, the soft touch of the girl actually packing a hidden, painful punch. Screams in shock, his pride shattered in front of the entire bus. The revenge he planned has backfired spectacularly. Daniel Park, good-looking body, can't hold it back anymore. He lets out a loud, joyous laugh at the sheer absurdity of Zach's failure. His laughter is infectious, lighting up the bus and making everyone forget the tension of the game. The buses continue their journey, but the vibe in the other vehicles is vastly different. Specifically, the bus for the J1 High Architecture Department. The sign on the back warns of the intensity within. Inside, the atmosphere is suffocating. A group of massive, intimidating students sits in absolute silence, their gazes cold and hard. Bum Jay sweats profusely. The heavy mood is killing him, and the fact that there are only guys in this department makes it even worse. Can't stand the silence. Every second feels like an eternity in this mobile fortress of testosterone. Untae Vasco looks like he's ready for war. The dark circles under his eyes suggest he hasn't slept a wink, his anticipation for the trip manifesting as a terrifying scowl. Desperate to break the ice, Bum Jay rips his shirt open. He shouts for a dance party, hoping to spark some life into his grim classmates. It works. Within seconds, the entire architecture department is shirtless and raving, turning the bus into a chaotic, muscular dance floor. The bus driver is horrified. He grips the wheel, sweating as he wonders what kind of lunatics he's been hired to drive. Untae Vasco watches his friends, his heart swelling with emotion. He is deeply touched by the raw energy and brotherhood of his department. Looks out the window, a solitary tear of pride almost forming as the dance party rages on behind him. Meanwhile, in the hairstyle department bus, the scene is the polar opposite. It's a paradise of social interaction. Hyun Jang, the only guy in his department, is living every high schooler's dream, surrounded by girls and enjoying the attention. Back with the architecture boys, the party has taken its toll. They arrive at a rest stop drenched in sweat and still shirtless, looking like they just finished a marathon. The rest stop is a brief sanctuary before the final leg of the trip, but for Zach it's a chance for redemption. He approaches the punch machine, his eyes burning with a cold, murderous intent. He winds up and delivers a devastating blow, putting all his frustration into the strike. Machine screams as the numbers climb. 903, a new record. Zach stands tall, his explosive power finally on full display for everyone to see. But the celebration is cut short as Jin Ho-bin leans in with a mocking grin. He scoffs at Zach's new record, telling him he needs to eat more if he ever hopes to reach his level. Zach's jaw tightens, the sweat of his exertion turning cold as he realizes the crowd is now watching his humiliation. Jin Ho-bin doesn't stop there, boasting about his own victory in the hammer game. He stands tall, a heavy mallet in hand, while Zach can only glare in silence. The atmosphere is thick with a rivalry that's far from over. Tension is palpable. Zach is fuming, his pride wounded in front of everyone, including Min Jin. Jin Ho-bin's crew stands behind him, their silent judgment adding weight to the insult. Suddenly, the crowd parts as Untae Vasco marches forward. Daniel Park, original body, watches in shock as the leader of the Burn Knuckles prepares to enter the fray, his presence shifting the energy of the entire arcade. Untae Vasco doesn't waste words. He steps up to the machine, his muscles coiling like a spring. He's not here for the game. He's here to show what real, unbridled strength looks like. The results are catastrophic. The hammer is shattered, and the punching target is literally ripped from its hinges. Both Jin Ho-bin and Zach stand in stunned silence, realizing they aren't the only monsters in this room. Later, in the quiet of the restroom, the two rivals find themselves side by side. The bravado is gone, replaced by a mutual, grumbling respect for the sheer absurdity of the strength they just witnessed. They both agree, those guys are just stupidly strong. Even in the most mundane moments, the power scaling is off the charts. A simple trip to the urinal becomes a battle of power as Gene Hobin tries to maintain his dominance in every possible way. Gene Hobin's frustration boils over. He's tired of being overshadowed and tired of the splattering disrespect. His ego is as bruised as his knuckles. Peace is interrupted by two new faces, thugs with an attitude that screams trouble. An Afro-sporting leader and his companion corner them, their expressions full of unearned confidence. These newcomers claim to be rappers despite their menacing appearance. They mock Zach and Gene Hobin for their age, claiming to be 17 while acting like hardened criminals. They introduce themselves as the Four Kings of Dubong Mountain. It's a bold claim, and the air crackles with the threat of a brawl that's only avoided by the ticking clock. The thugs retreat, but not without a final warning. They have a bus to catch, but they promise that if their paths cross again, it won't end with just words. Scene shifts to the remote mountainside. The school retreat center looms ahead, a place meant for training and discipline, but for these students it feels more like a prison. The students pile out of the bus, exhausted and groaning. Daniel Park, original body, is among them, his face a mask of fatigue as the reality of the retreat sets in. A sharp voice cuts through the chatter. The instructors are here, and they aren't interested in being friends. They demand everyone line up immediately, setting a harsh tone for the days to come. Girls are instantly distracted by instructor Zeus. With his sharp features and model-like proportions, he's an instant hit, drawing hearts and whispers from the crowd. The contrast couldn't be more brutal. The second instructor, Bin, is met with stifled laughter and cruel comparisons. He looks like a toad next to Zeus, and the students make sure he knows it. The instructors deliver their ultimatum. They can be angels or devils depending on how the students act. The warning is clear, but the students are too busy judging appearances to listen. Zeus maintains his cool exterior, reminding them that while they trust the students, they won't take any chances. The rules are absolute, and the first test is about to begin. The dreaded luggage check commences. Zeus's voice is cold as he announces the inspection. The students' faces pale as they realize their hidden treasures are in jeopardy. The instructors are thorough. Alcohol hidden in Pringles cans and cigarettes tucked inside snack bags are unearthed with surgical precision. The students' attempts at smuggling are pathetic in the face of Zeus's scrutiny. Punishment is swift. The students are forced into grueling squats, their legs trembling as the instructors reveal even more hidden contraband, cell phones stashed in the most creative of places. Zeus continues to lecture them, his authority unquestioned. He calls J1 High the worst school they've ever hosted, his handsome face masking a growing irritation with their lack of discipline. Despite the harshness, the girls can't help but fawn over Zeus. He plays the part of the cool professional perfectly, while the boys can only watch and envy. In the shadows, Bin is reaching his breaking point. The constant mockery and the glaring disparity in how he's treated compared to Zeus are fueling a dangerous resentment. The schedule moves on to recreation time. The students are ordered to change into sports uniforms and gather for team-building exercises, much to their vocal annoyance. The pipeline game begins. It's a test of coordination and teamwork, but for most, it's just another opportunity to mess around and avoid the actual training. Young watches from the sidelines, his expression one of pure boredom. He finds these games childish and a waste of his time, his eyes searching for something more substantial. But Vasco is in his element. He takes every challenge with a level of intensity that is both inspiring and terrifying, his body literally sparkling with the effort of being the best. The matching game leads to a chaotic scramble. Vasco finds himself in a crushing group hug, his raw power making even a simple game look like a high-stakes wrestling match. As the dust settles, Daniel Park, good-looking body, is instantly swarmed by girls, leaving Vasco to watch in a mix of pride and emotional overwhelm. The retreat has only just begun, and the power dynamics are already shifting. The retreat shifts gears as leader Lee Soon-shin takes the stage, his voice booming as he explains the vital importance of rhythm and timing. A student asks what they are supposed to be learning, only to find out they are prepping for the high-stakes talent show that defines the school's social hierarchy. The atmosphere in the hall is electric. Students watch the rehearsals in awe, the rhythmic pounding of drums echoing against the walls. One student vents his frustration, cursing the seniors for forcing him to learn nanta percussion just because he's in the culinary track. Next up, the hairstyle department girls take the floor. Their coordinated moves and vibrant energy draw every eye in the room. But the real showstopper is Duckhwa. He commands the microphone with a flow that defies expectations, earning him the title of the pig rapper. Daniel Park, good-looking body, watches from the sidelines, a genuine smile on his face as he sees Duckhwa finally getting the recognition he deserves. For Daniel Park, good-looking body, the talent show is a rare moment of genuine fun amidst the constant tension of his double life. Away from the main stage, a shady student lures a group toward the dorms, whispering about a secret arrangement they won't want to miss. Zach and Daniel Park, good-looking body, follow the lead, unaware they are being ushered into a private social gathering away from the instructor's eyes. Door opens to reveal a room full of girls from the hairstyle department, already surrounded by snacks and contraband alcohol. The girls instantly swarm the new arrivals, their eyes locked onto the handsome faces of the fashion department boys. The tension in the room is palpable as the guys realize they've walked straight into a full-blown drinking party. Focus shifts to the fashion department crew, who find themselves the center of attention for the rival department's girls. Daniel Park, good-looking body, and Zach are pinned down by the girls' aggressive hospitality, though Zach looks increasingly uncomfortable. Ever the lone wolf, Zach stands up and claims he has another meeting to attend, desperate for an excuse to bail on the situation. He makes a swift exit, leaving Daniel Park, good-looking body, to navigate the social minefield on his own as the party continues. The host tries to salvage the vibe, urging the remaining students to sit down and enjoy the night despite the sudden departures. Outside in the hallway, a girl peeks through a doorway, her expression a mix of curiosity and concern for what's happening inside. She runs into Zach, who hands over a bag of supplies, his tough exterior softening for just a fleeting second in her presence. Inside the room, the partygoers activate a green light trick, placing a bottle over a phone to create a glowing centerpiece. Daniel Park, good-looking body, sits among the group, the neon glow illuminating a night that is rapidly spiraling out of control. Girls suggest a truth game, the classic catalyst for drama and the unveiling of hidden feelings. Meanwhile, the male student with glasses decides to prove his mettle, downing alcohol at a dangerous pace for his first time. The game turns to Zach, who is put on the spot with a pointed question about the girl he likes in their class. Girl waits with bated breath, her heart racing as she anticipates the answer that could change everything. Before Zach can speak, a black knight intervenes, a girl jumping in to down the penalty drink and save him from the confession. The male student with glasses continues his powerful drinking streak, completely oblivious to his own physical limits. Room descends into absolute chaos. Everyone is wasted, with students snoring on the floor and social values becoming blurred. The fun ends abruptly as the instructors burst in, greeted by the sight of the male student with glasses losing his lunch in the center of the room. The instructors can hardly believe their eyes, their faces contorting in a mix of disgust and pure irritation at the mess left behind by the students. Far from the chaos, Daniel Park, original body, is in a state of absolute crisis, his heart hammering against his ribs as he sprints through the dark streets. He curses his luck, realizing he fell for a trap and ended up drinking, and now he's desperately trying to burn off every single calorie before his other body wakes up. Even on his break from the convenience store, there is no rest. The fear of gaining weight drives him to push his stocky frame to its absolute limit. Back at the shop, the male student with glasses sits hunched over a laptop, his eyes reflecting the cold glow of the screen as he ignores his duties. He's not just browsing, he's monitoring a sinister corner of the internet where privacy is a myth and reputation is a currency. A post titled "High School Girl Drunk and Collapsed" draws a swarm of perverse comments, proving that some predators don't need claws, just a camera and an anonymous handle. Male student with glasses, known online as Ben, revels in the praise of other creeps, secretly uploading photos of girls from the very camp he's attending. He focuses on a candid shot of Min Young, the comments beneath it growing increasingly vile as the digital voyeurs egg him on for more. While the digital world rots, the physical world is just as messy. Daniel Park, good-looking body, is out cold, unaware that he's become a canvas for his roommate's boredom. They've covered him in ink and toothpaste, turning the school's most handsome student into a walking punchline while he snores through the humiliation. Next morning brings a literal cold awakening as the students are thrust into the river for a mandatory rafting session. The girls scream in delight as the icy water sprays over the raft, the adrenaline of the rapids momentarily masking the tension of the camp. Min Young laughs, her face bright with genuine joy, a stark contrast to the predatory lenses that were focused on her just hours prior. But the fun is one-sided. The instructor at the back of the boat watches with a heavy, unreadable expression, his silence casting a shadow over the group. Suddenly, the instructor begins splashing the girls aggressively, his movements lack the playfulness of a game and carry a strange, targeted intensity. As the water settles, he stares at them with a look that makes Min Young's skin crawl, his eyes lingering far longer than they should. She glances back, a flicker of unease crossing her face. She wonders if it's just her imagination or if the person meant to protect them is actually a threat. Feeling of being watched doesn't fade, even as the sun begins to set over the mountains, leaving her with a lingering sense of dread. Night falls on the boot camp, and the atmosphere shifts from physical exhaustion to forced emotional reflection. During the candlelight ceremony, even the toughest students break. Zach, usually the embodiment of aggression, finds himself weeping as the instructors speak of parental sacrifice. Min Young is equally moved, the flickering flame reflecting the tears streaming down her face as the weight of the camp's psychological pressure takes its toll. The head instructor watches the sobbing students with a cold, clinical detachment, his plan to break their spirits working perfectly. Min Young tries to compose herself, but the emotional manipulation of the night is overwhelming, leaving everyone vulnerable. Solemn mood is shattered the moment they return to the dorms as a massive pillow fight erupts, the boys venting their repressed energy in a flurry of feathers. Zach looks on with annoyance, his eyes landing on a quiet student in the corner who seems completely out of place in the chaos. It's Unte Vasco, standing tall with his tattooed arms crossed, radiating an aura of disciplined power that makes the other students hesitate. With a sudden, violent impact, a student is sent flying backward through the air. Zach has clearly lost his patience with the rowdy crowd. Later that night, Zach finds himself walking with Min Young, the quiet of the evening providing a rare moment of genuine connection between them. Min Young smiles softly at him, her earlier fears seemingly forgotten in the presence of someone she actually trusts. Zach maintains his cool exterior, but his protective instincts are on high alert, sensing that the dangers of this camp are far from over. As the final night of the boot camp winds down, both versions of Daniel Park finally find a moment of peace, sleeping side by side in the quiet dorm. The 3 days of hell are almost over, and Daniel Park, good-looking body, rests with a faint smile, the doodles on his face a small price to pay for surviving. However, the hypocrisy of the camp is revealed in the instructor's quarters, where they are secretly drinking the very alcohol they confiscated from the students. The head instructor barks out a defense of their actions, claiming his status as a first-grade leader gives him the right to do as he pleases, proving he's the biggest lowlife of them all. He stares down at the dark screen of his phone, the silence of the night weighing heavy on his shoulders as he hesitates to move. The image of the girl on the display is a grim reminder of what is at stake. He knows he cannot afford to lose her to the shadows of this place. The warehouse stands isolated in the moonlight, a cold, industrial tomb that hides the sinister intentions of those within. The young man pushes the heavy door open, his heart hammering against his ribs as he steps into the lion's den. The sight inside stops him cold. The instructor is there with the girl, both of them clutching heavy boxes under the harsh fluorescent lights. With a strained, nervous smile, the instructor tries to play it off, claiming he found her wandering and assigned her punishment duty. But the young man sees right through the facade, his gaze narrowing as he senses the predatory aura radiating from the man. Girl stands paralyzed, her eyes darting between the two as the tension in the room reaches a suffocating breaking point. The tall instructor attempts to assert control, dismissively ordering the intruder to turn around and head back to his room to rest. He doesn't get another word out. The young man explodes forward, tackling the handsome youth with every ounce of strength he possesses. Girl screams in terror, completely blindsided by the sudden eruption of violence between the two. The struggle is chaotic and desperate, a collision of raw power and frantic movement on the cold warehouse floor. The young man bellows a warning, his voice cracked with desperation as he tries to shield the girl from the hidden monster. Rains down blows with reckless abandon, his mind focused solely on neutralizing the threat before it's too late. In the heat of the scuffle, a smartphone slips from a pocket and slides across the concrete, its screen flickering to life. The display reveals a disturbing image, a secret captured in the dark that confirms the instructor's true, depraved nature. Girl catches sight of the screen, her breath hitching as the horrific reality of her situation begins to dawn on her. In a panic-fueled reflex, she shoves the young man away, her mind a whirlwind of confusion and fear. The youth is sent tumbling back, the sudden rejection leaving him vulnerable and gasping for air. The instructor slowly rises, the mask of the friendly mentor finally falling away to reveal a cold, calculating malice. He delivers a brutal, precision kick that sends the young man crashing into the shelves, the sound of impact echoing through the room. The pain is white-hot and debilitating, threatening to pull the young man into the abyss of unconsciousness. The girl cries out for them to stop, her hands trembling as she realizes she might have just pushed away her only protector. Tall youth turns to her with a sickeningly sweet smile, his eyes devoid of any real warmth as he thanks her for her assistance. As the world blurs, the fallen young man catches a glimpse of the wall behind them, where a single piece of paper changes everything. He focuses his fading vision on the poster, a sense of dread pooling in his stomach as he reads the bold letters at the top. Realization hits him harder than any physical strike. The man standing before them is a ghost from a criminal past. His breath hitches as he stares at a wanted list, the faces of dangerous men staring back with cold, dead eyes. There it is, a man wanted for assault and listed as an expert in martial arts. The alias listed chills him to the bone. The very man who has been leading them this entire time is a high-level predator. The instructor's face twists into a grotesque mask of insanity, his true nature finally erupting in a fit of manic, predatory laughter. The girl recoils in horror, the realization of the monster she's trapped with sending a wave of pure terror through her soul. The young man lies broken on the floor, watching through bloodied eyes as the predator prepares to claim his next victim. Blood pools on the concrete as Daniel Park, original body, gasps for air, his vision blurring from the weight of the predator's assault. The truth is far darker than anyone imagined. For years, a monster has been hiding in plain sight, documenting his prey with chilling precision. Eugene was always there, lingering in the shadows of every social gathering, a silent observer waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Hina's scream echoes through the empty halls, a desperate plea for a savior that seems destined never to arrive. But Eugene only smiles, his face twisting into a grotesque mask of pure, unadulterated malice. He knows they are alone. The violent shove, he pins her down, his voice a low, terrifying whisper as he tells her that resistance is utterly futile in this remote prison. Shock paralyzes Hina, her eyes wide with the realization that the man standing before her is no longer human. He laughs at her fear, mocking her attempts to play hard to get while his eyes roam with predatory intent. Depravity in his gaze is suffocating as he demands she submit, his tongue flicking across his lips in a display of pure filth. This cycle of cruelty didn't start today. It was forged in a world where authority figures looked the other way, favoring the cute over the unfortunate. Even as children, the divide was clear. While one boy cried for justice, the other was celebrated simply for existing. The teacher's laughter served as a green light for the bullies, teaching them that as long as they were favored, they were untouchable. Harassment was treated as a joke, a simple ice cake prank that left scars deeper than any physical wound. The perpetrators grew up emboldened by the silence of those who should have protected the weak. And now, that unchecked ego has blossomed into a full-blown monster. Eugene used his status to lure his victims, hiding his true nature behind the facade of a popular student. In the darkness of his own mind, he plotted, his obsession with having her growing more intense with every passing second. He discards his humanity along with his clothes, revealing the raw, ugly truth of his desire. His laughter is a jagged blade cutting through the air as he offers to do anything she wants, his eyes burning with a feverish light. The storage room becomes a tomb, the stacked boxes the only witnesses to the impending nightmare. He prepares to finalize his conquest, unzipping his pants with a cold, methodical indifference to the life he is about to shatter. Hina stares back, her terror reaching a breaking point as she realizes this person is a true psychopath. He looms over her like a titan of filth, his shadow swallowing her whole as he prepares to claim his prize. But as Shadow moves, Daniel Park, original body, stumbles forward, his body broken but his spirit refusing to yield while Hina is in danger. Eugene doesn't even hesitate. He delivers a brutal kick, sending Daniel Park, original body, reeling back with a sickening thud. He grabs Daniel Park, original body, by the hair, his voice dripping with condescension as he mocks the senior for trying to be a hero. With a savage knee to the face, Eugene crushes any remaining hope, leaving Daniel Park, original body, a shattered mess on the floor. Hina's screams echo through the cold warehouse, a desperate plea for a nightmare that refuses to end. Every cry is a jagged piece of a shattered reality she can't escape. Daniel Park, original body, lies motionless, his face a map of agony and broken teeth. Eugene looms over him, his voice a chilling whisper, reminding the boy that in this dark corner of the world, no one is coming to save him. With a twisted, manic grin, Eugene is savoring the moment. He's a predator who enjoys the hunt far more than the kill, and he's just getting started. Through the haze of pain, Daniel Park, original body, fumbles for his last line of defense, a simple whistle. It's a pathetic sight, a broken hero reaching for a toy to signal a rescue that feels miles away. He forces the plastic between his bloody lips, the sharp sound of the whistle cutting through the oppressive silence. It's a rhythmic, desperate heartbeat in audio form. But the sound is abruptly choked off. Eugene's shadow falls over him, a dark omen that even his last breath will be stolen. Eugene grabs him by the jaw, his eyes gleaming with a sadistic curiosity. He mocks the boy's resilience, wondering aloud if the plastic whistle or Daniel's remaining teeth will break first. The hallway stands empty and indifferent, a silent witness to the atrocities occurring just behind the closed doors. Elsewhere, Zack stands alone, a growing pit of dread forming in his stomach. The girl he cares for is missing, and the silence of the corridor is deafening. Tries to rationalize her absence, but the nagging feeling that something is horribly wrong refuses to be silenced. His mind races through every dark possibility. As he turns to leave, his phone erupts into life. An unknown number, a herald of chaos in an already spiraling night. Meanwhile, Daniel Park, good-looking body, awakens to a call. It's a surreal bridge between his two lives, a voice from the convenience store reaching out across the divide. The confusion is thick. The girl on the other end is caught between interest and irritation, her words a blur of teenage drama that feels trivial compared to the looming threat. The urgency is real. A report must be made. The witness has spoken, and the gears of justice, however slow, begin to turn. Voices crackle over the line, describing a wanted man. The pieces of the puzzle are finally coming together, but the picture they form is one of pure terror. Daniel Park, good-looking body, listens intently, the gravity of the situation sinking in. Help is 30 minutes away, a lifetime when every second counts. Zack's expression hardens into a mask of cold fury. The worry has been replaced by a singular, violent purpose. His eyes burn with an intense, murderous light. The boxer within him is awake, and he's ready to tear down anyone standing in his way. He sprints down the hallway, a blur of motion fueled by pure adrenaline. His voice rips through the air, calling out for the girl he's terrified he's already lost. Daniel Park, good-looking body, catches the panic. The realization hits like a physical blow. Hina is gone, and the predator has her. Back in the warehouse, the evidence of the struggle is everywhere. Broken teeth and trails of blood paint a gruesome picture of Daniel's defeat. Hina cowers in the corner, her spirit as broken as the boy lying before her. She's trapped in a cage with a monster, and the shadows are closing in. Eugene spreads his arms wide, reveling in his absolute control. With no one left to stop him, his depravity knows no bounds. He demands she strip, his voice devoid of any humanity. Hina's pleas for mercy fall on deaf ears. To him, she is nothing more than a toy to be broken. When she resists, his rage explodes. He lunges at her, a savage beast driven by a twisted sense of entitlement and malice. A brutal punch connects, the sound of the impact sickeningly wet. He screams accusations, blaming her for his own monstrous actions. The warehouse echoes with the sounds of violence. Eugene's insanity is on full display as he rants about temptation and assault, twisting reality to suit his dark narrative. He leans in close, his voice dripping with a fake, terrifying sincerity. He apologizes for hitting her, a classic tactic of a predator trying to maintain psychological dominance. He hovers over her, his presence a suffocating weight. Every breath he takes is an insult to her existence. He notices her consciousness returning and smiles. He wants her awake. He wants her to feel every moment of the horror he's about to inflict. He fumbles with her clothes, his frustration mounting. Even in her weakened state, Hina's body instinctively fights back against the violation. She struggles with everything she has left, her muffled cries a testament to a spirit that refuses to be completely extinguished. But as Eugene pins her down, the hope for rescue grows dimmer with every passing second. The silence of the room is shattered by a subtle sound, causing Eugene's ear to twitch. His predatory focus is momentarily broken as he senses an intruder encroaching on his dark playground. Framed against the harsh light of the doorway, Zack stands like a vengeful shadow. His presence is a sudden, violent interruption to the nightmare unfolding inside. Eugene looks back, his expression shifting from perverse pleasure to cold annoyance. He wasn't expecting anyone to find this place, let alone someone with such murderous intent. On the floor, Hina is a portrait of pure agony. Blood smears her face as she gasps through her tears, her voice failing her as the trauma takes its toll. The monster's hands are still gripped tight, refusing to let go of his prey even as a challenger stands before him. The violation is palpable, the tension reaching a breaking point. Zack's face is a mask of pure, unadulterated rage. His eyes are fixed on the scene, seeing the blood on Hina and the smirk on Eugene's face. Eugene stares back, his eyes wide with a mix of surprise and a growing, twisted excitement. He recognizes the fire in the newcomer's eyes. The grip tightens one last time, a final act of defiance before the predator is forced to deal with the threat at the door. Hina cries out, her spirit broken but her eyes pleading for a miracle. She is at the mercy of a man who knows none. A single eye burns through the darkness. Zack has seen enough. The time for words ended the moment he saw the blood. With an explosive burst of speed, Zack launches himself across the room. He isn't just running, he's a projectile aimed straight at Eugene's head. Eugene barely has time to react, his hands coming up in a frantic guard as Zack's fist whistles through the air. The battle for Hina's life has officially begun. Even in his haste, Eugene's instincts are sharp. He shifts his weight, sliding into a defensive posture that reveals he's far more than just a common thug. Zack pivots, unleashing a thunderous low kick. It's a perfect hit designed to shatter Eugene's balance and end the fight before it truly starts. Eugene just smiles, a sickening grin stretching across his face. He taunts Zack, mocking the attempt as if it were nothing more than a playful tap. Suddenly, two hands reach out, sticky, wet, and incredibly fast. They aren't striking, they're reaching for something specific. Eugene snatches the back of Zack's head, locking his fingers tight. The realization hits Zack like a physical blow. He's been caught in a deadly clinch. Counterattack is brutal. Eugene drives a knee upward with terrifying power, the impact echoing through the small room as Zack's breath is stolen away. Zack's mind races. The stance, the clinch, the devastating knee strikes. It's Muay Thai. He's up against a specialist who thrives in close quarters. This isn't just a fight, it's dirty boxing at its most lethal. Eugene keeps the pressure on, refusing to let Zack find the distance he needs to use his own skills. Eugene laughs as he pummels his opponent, his movements fluid and cruel. He knows he has the advantage, and he intends to savor every second of Zack's suffering. Zack is thrown back, his body reeling from the onslaught. Every time he tries to reset, Eugene is already there, closing the gap with predatory efficiency. His feet slide across the floor as he struggles for footing. The ground feels unstable, the air heavy with the scent of blood and the sound of his own frantic heartbeat. Zack tries to force his way out, but Eugene's guard is impenetrable. The distance is gone, and with it, Zack's ability to defend himself effectively. He's drowning in the clinch. Every attempt to escape only leads to another crushing blow. He's lost his range, and in a fight like this, that's a death sentence. Eugene's eyes gleam with malice. He can see the frustration and pain mounting in Zack, and it only fuels his desire to break him completely. A massive knee connects with Zack's midsection, a sickening crack signaling the end of his resistance. Eugene mocks him, asking if he's only capable of guarding his face. Zack's vision blurs. The pain is white-hot, radiating from his ribs. He can't breathe, let alone fight back against this monster. Eugene leans in, his breath hot against Zack's ear. He whispers a taunt about his broken ribs, a cruel promise of the pain yet to come. A final, crushing blow lands square on Zack's jaw. He's sent reeling, his body finally giving out under the weight of Eugene's relentless brutality. Hina watches in horror as her only hope is systematically dismantled. Outside, Daniel Park, good-looking body, and the others search frantically, unaware that they are running out of time. The isolated shed stands silent under the moonlight, a grim scene for the violence unfolding within. Zack is covered in blood, his body badly beaten. Despite his shattered arms and crushed ribs, he refuses to fall. Zack demands to know how a boxer is expected to fight when his weapons have been destroyed. Eugene smirks, savoring the moment. Zack's vision is blurring and his body is failing, but he forces himself to stay upright. Eugene winds up a lethal high kick, aiming to end the fight once and for all. Girl watches in terror, knowing that if Zack falls, she will be left alone with the monster. Suddenly, a bloodstained hand reaches out from the shadows and grabs Eugene's ankle. Eugene freezes in shock, looking down to find Daniel clinging to him with desperate strength. A trail of blood marks the floor where Daniel dragged his broken body across the concrete, inch by inch. Seizing the opening Daniel provided, Zack ignores his agony and launches one last heavy strike. His gaze is cold and determined. This is no longer a match, it is a fight for survival. Despite his injuries, Zack connects. The impact is the result of pure willpower against his opponent's arrogance. The force of the blow shatters Eugene's jaw and his composure in a single moment. Zack's resolve is terrifying. He is willing to endure 100 hits just to land the one that ends it. Eugene's eyes roll back as he realizes he has been defeated. He collapses into a heap, finally silenced by the boxer he had underestimated. But Zack isn't finished. Adrenaline has pushed him past his limits as he stands over his fallen enemy. Eugene tries to plead for mercy, his voice a broken gurgle as Zack looms over him. Zack's eyes burn with rage as he raises his shattered arm for a final blow. The sound of the impact echoes through the shed, signaling the end of the night's brutality. The girl begs Zack to stop just as the doors burst open. Daniel and the search party have arrived. Daniel stands frozen, taking in the scene of carnage and his broken friends. Police sirens wail in the distance as cruisers swarm the woods, their lights cutting through the dark. As Eugene is hauled away in handcuffs, the crowd whispers in disbelief, unaware of the monster he truly is. Daniel lies on a stretcher, exhausted and broken, but relieved that he was able to protect those who mattered. Zach sits on the edge of the ambulance, wrapped in a blanket but still radiating a restless energy. He stares into the void, the weight of the night finally settling on his shoulders. The battle is over, but the scars remain. The aftermath is brutal. Jin Sung, battered and bruised, bows his head, the exhaustion of the fight finally claiming him. His eyes, sharp and intense, betray the inner turmoil beneath his defeated posture. Despite his grievous wounds, Jin Sung attempts to reassure a concerned Mi Jin, insisting he's fine and will follow her to the police station after treatment. As the authorities depart, he forces a brave face. Elsewhere, a woman offers a quiet thank you, her gaze gentle, while Jin Sung lies in bed with a smug, almost perverse expression, hinting at something unsettling. Scene shifts abruptly, revealing the imposing, stark facade of a detention facility, its walls looming under a muted sky. A closer look confirms its grim purpose. The sign above the entrance explicitly reads, "In one prison." Inside, a new inmate, Hyman Jim, kneels to introduce himself, openly admitting to a rape charge and 2 prior convictions. His arrival stirs the cell block, with one burly gangster declaring his hatred for those who harm women, questioning if Hyman Jim is truly the boss. Large gangster dismisses Hyman Jim as weak and insignificant, but another inmate, with a chilling grin, mocks the harshness of the words, then subtly asks if anyone has a knife, his thoughts betraying his ambition to seize control of the prison hierarchy. Suddenly, Eugene's smile twists into a grotesque mask of rage. He screams, demanding to know if he's being ignored, if they're laughing at him because he's ugly. His outburst culminates in a chilling declaration: he has a high school girl as his wife. Panic erupts as inmates recoil in terror, one screaming that it's an execution. The prison descends into chaos, cries of "Who is this crazy guy?" and "Stop him" echoing through the halls as Eugene's presence unleashes utter pandemonium. Far from the prison's grim reality, Daniel Park, original body, receives his second paycheck from his kind manager, who praises his hard work and even adds extra for a gift for his parents. He is deeply touched by the gesture. Daniel Park, original body, beams, imagining his mother's joy at a surprise gift. He decides to visit her during the holiday in his original body, a painful memory surfacing of her worn, torn sleeve, fueling his determination. At a clothing store, Daniel Park, original body, awkwardly searches for a gift. The female employees initially mistake it for a girlfriend's present, but upon learning it's for his mother, their expressions soften. However, the price tag leaves him utterly stunned. Daniel Park, original body, boards a bus, heading out of town. He finds his window seat, ready for the journey, while a woman nearby politely asks for a moment. He clutches his phone, his eyes scanning the bus, a hint of nervousness on his face as he settles into his window seat. Suddenly, the woman next to Daniel Park, original body, recoils in abject terror, her face contorted in a silent scream. Something unseen has utterly horrified her. Daniel Park, original body, flinches, a cold sweat breaking out as a chilling thought crosses his mind. What if I run into those guys in town? A sudden, unsettling question echoes in his head. Park Hyun-suk? His eyes widen in disbelief, a frantic whisper escaping him. Is it Park Hyun-suk? Who? The past seems to be catching up to him. A familiar face appears, a young man with a beanie, smiling warmly as he greets Daniel Park, original body, with a casual "Ah, it's you." Smiling stranger asks about Daniel Park, original body, as sudden transfer, curious how he's been. But Daniel Park, original body, is lost, racking his brain to recall the man's name, and a sense of awkwardness settles in. Daniel Park, original body, stammers out a polite greeting, clearly flustered, before a silent sigh of relief escapes him. He's trying to play it cool, but the encounter is clearly unsettling. The persistent stranger presses Daniel Park, original body, about his transfer, wondering if his previous school was too hard, and expresses surprise at his absence. He can only offer a non-committal "yeah." Internally questioning why the conversation drags on. Stranger remains fixated on his phone, constantly typing, as Daniel Park, original body, internally notes his attachment to the device. The man then asks if life is more relaxing now that he has transferred, his questions probing deeper than mere curiosity. Daniel Park, original body, internally processes Ho Young's unsettling questions, noting the man's intense focus on his phone. He attempts to deflect, stating he must leave to see his mother, hoping to escape the uncomfortable encounter. Ho Young's expression darkens, his eyes narrowing with sudden anger. He challenges Daniel Park, original body, his voice sharp, demanding to know if he intends to leave again. Daniel Park, original body, flinches, a bead of sweat tracing his temple. He stammers, caught completely off guard by Ho Young's sudden aggression and probing questions. Without warning, a swift, brutal strike connects. Ho Young's powerful slap sends Daniel Park, original body's head snapping back from the impact, a sharp crack echoing in the air. Daniel Park, original body, reels, utterly stunned by the assault, his mouth agape in disbelief. Ho Young's voice cuts through his shock, coldly asserting that he has grown cocky. The scene shifts abruptly, focusing on a bouncing soccer ball. Daniel Park, original body, recalls Ho Young's cryptic demand to meet at the gazebo, a sense of dread settling in. Daniel Park, good-looking body, approaches with an air of casual menace, flanked by our Soo and Ho Young, who playfully kicks a soccer ball. Ho Young demands to know why he was summoned, feigning indignation. Daniel Park, original body, is overwhelmed by a torrent of insults, his face contorting in distress as he's cruelly branded a pig. The verbal assault cuts deep. A cascade of images flashes, showcasing Daniel Park, good-looking body, and his friends in various poses. Daniel Park, original body, internally laments this cruel twist of fate, forced to confront those he desperately wished to avoid. Daniel Park, good-looking body, confronts Daniel Park, original body, with a condescending smirk, questioning his sudden transfer and likening him to a Pikachu who abandoned his owner. Ho Young joins in the taunting, recounting their feigned surprise at being summoned to the gazebo and speculating with a grin if Daniel Park, original body, was attempting to use them. Daniel Park, original body, is visibly shaken, the cruel words about being a Pikachu echoing in his mind. He struggles to comprehend the depth of their mockery and manipulation. Ho Young's expression shifts to one of dawning realization and anger. He questions if he was merely a pawn, a Pikachu used to lure others, a victim of a larger scheme. Ho Young is seen from above, then close-up, a thoughtful and slightly sinister look on his face. He speaks to an unseen accomplice, warning them to guard well, calling Daniel Park, original body, the worst. Daniel Park, good-looking body, and Ho Young exchange triumphant grins. Daniel Park, good-looking body, holds a wad of cash, Ho Young remarking on Daniel Park, original body, lots of cash. Sue dismisses Daniel Park, original body, mother's gift as old-fashioned. Daniel Park, original body, internally laments their escalating cruelty, noting they never stole his money before. Daniel Park, good-looking body, inspects Daniel Park, original body's wallet with disdain, calling it a rag. Daniel Park, original body, finds a sliver of relief that at least his clothes remain untouched. A 5,001 bill is shown, then Daniel Park, original body, holding it, his mind flashing to his mother, who earned it selling recycled paper. He cherishes it like a sacred talisman. Gentle, smiling face of an elderly woman appears, a poignant image of Daniel Park, original body's mother, the source of his cherished money. Back in the present, Daniel Park, original body, is utterly distraught, demanding the return of his precious 5,001, the symbol of his mother's sacrifice. A fist clenches, then Daniel Park, good-looking body, instructs his friend to return the 5,001, while Ho Young cruelly remarks on Daniel Park, original body's pathetic state. Daniel Park, good-looking body, stands defiant, a cigarette dangling from his lips. He refuses, stating Daniel Park, original body, is really rude, further escalating the torment. Daniel Park, good-looking body, grabs Daniel Park, original body's shoulder, mockingly asking if he formatted his head. Daniel Park, original body, internally notes the fluency of his tormentor's words. Daniel Park, original body's face contorts, his eyes welling up with unshed tears. Daniel Park, good-looking body, taunts him, asking if he wants to crawl home as Pikachu, as Ho Young laughs, predicting he's going to cry. Narrative abruptly shifts to a different scene. A male student with glasses is being choked, yet he stoically thinks that compared to Vasco, it doesn't hurt at all, showcasing immense resilience. A tight close-up on a fist-gripping fabric, emphasizing the brutal force being applied to the male student with glasses in his own struggle. Back with Daniel Park, original body, a surge of defiance erupts. He shoves Daniel Park, good-looking body, to the ground, demanding his money back, shocking our Sue and Ho Young into stunned silence. Daniel Park, good-looking body, lies sprawled, his expression a mix of shock and humiliation. He questions Daniel Park, original body's unexpected strength, recalling a past arm injury. Ho Young explodes in a fit of rage, screaming at Daniel Park, original body, to release Daniel Park, good-looking body, immediately, his face contorted with fury. Daniel Park, original body's face is obscured, his eyes hidden, leaving his expression ambiguous, yet a silent resolve emanates from him, signaling a profound shift in his demeanor. Harsh realities Daniel Park, original body, has faced, the brutal lessons learned through countless beatings, flash before his eyes. Each impact, each desperate struggle, forged a new understanding within him. He recalls the raw power, the overwhelming force of his opponents, and the moments he was pushed to his absolute limits, experiences that shaped his silent resolve. Yet, as a powerful kick blurs past, a new thought surfaces within him. Somehow, it's not scary anymore. With an unexpected surge of strength, Daniel Park, original body, intercepts the incoming kick, his grip unyielding, silencing the thud of impact. The attacker's face twists in utter disbelief, his golden left kick neutralized with shocking ease. Daniel Park, original body, holds both assailants captive, one by a flailing leg, the other by an arm, as they cry out in pain and confusion, one even claiming he's actually right-footed. Female observer, Min Young, watches in awe, while the other thug yells at Daniel Park, original body, to release his injured arm, a previous wound now aggravated. His grip remains firm, pinning the two struggling figures to the ground, a silent testament to his newfound resolve. Looking up, Daniel Park, original body, reflects on an unexpected sensation. Funnily, he felt pleasure. The respect garnered from other people, an emotion he once despised, now intoxicated him. As he indulged in this intoxicating feeling, a grim shadow falls, hinting at a new, sinister presence. A heavy boot steps onto the ground, accompanied by a single, chilling word, pig. Cold dread washes over Daniel Park, original body, his body trembling as he senses the presence of a new, terrifying threat. The chilling message on a phone reveals the sinister setup, an invitation to an alley to meet a happy friend, a twisted surprise arranged by Hat. The imposing figure with a cigarette declares his twisted game, calling out, Pikachu. Commands his victim, Daniel Park, original body, to perform. Daniel whimpers in terror, reduced to a desperate Pika. The tormentor gloats, announcing, "Now I have two Pikachus," as Daniel Park original body cries out in anguish. The hulking figure, Lee Tae-sung, reveals his true target, the one that ran away from home. Torrent of painful memories floods Daniel Park original body's mind, moments of relentless bullying, brutal beatings and utter humiliation. Lee Tae-sung, with a condescending gaze, demands an explanation for the current situation. The narrator ominously compares the situation to a Pavlovian response. When the dog hears the bell, it starts drooling. The cycle of torment continues, with more horrific flashbacks of Daniel Park original body's past abuse, each image a fresh wound. Squatting menacingly, Lee Tae-sung confronts Daniel Park original body with a chilling question: "Why did you run away?" He looms over the cowering Daniel Park original body, twisting the knife with a taunt. "Didn't you want to play with me?" Lee Tae-sung's face contorts in a furious snarl, demanding a response. Daniel Park original body cowers, paralyzed by fear, unable to meet the monster's gaze. A brutal kick lands squarely on Daniel Park original body, sending a shockwave of pain through him. The attacker, frustrated, curses Daniel Park original body, bewildered by his perceived defiance. Two assailants continue to bicker, one complaining about his injured arm, the other insisting on his right-footed status, while Min Young watches, concerned. Daniel Park original body, seething with anger, recalls the taunts. "Watch and learn from your senior Pikachu. It's your fault. I've done nothing wrong." Lee Tae-sung's words echo, a deadly threat: "If you run away, I will find you and kill you." Daniel Park original body kneels, accepting his fate, as the tormentor declares his graduation. Lee Tae-sung, holding a wad of cash, mockingly declares Daniel Park original body free, claiming the money as a graduation fee before dismissing him with a chilling live well. The chilling dismissal from Lee Tae-sung, coupled with the mocking graduation fee, sends Daniel Park original body reeling, his mind struggling to process the devastating blow. Poignant memory flashes. Daniel Park original body's mother, her face etched with worry, reminds him to take care of the money he had intended to give her. Another harsh recollection surfaces, a past tormentor's voice, dripping with disdain, labels him pitiful and warns him against repeating his mistakes, leaving a fresh scar on his spirit. Meanwhile, Daniel Park, good-looking body, relaxes in a luxurious bath, his conversation hinting at a deeper conflict, a longing for home, yet a reluctance to burden his family, opting instead for solitary travel. Speaks softly into his phone, addressing Jae Yeol, a brief pause hanging in the air as he considers his next words. Daniel Park, good-looking body, concludes the call, wishing Jae Yeol a good time before disconnecting, his expression unreadable. As Daniel Park, good-looking body, relaxes, a news report on his screen announces a live broadcast from Busan's Gwangan Bridge, subtly setting the stage for his next destination. Scene shifts to a narrow, bustling street, the air thick with the promise of potato stew and pork, a stark contrast to the earlier luxury. Daniel Park, original body, steps out, questioning his mother's absence, as two women nearby praise her tireless work, their words inadvertently underscoring his own feelings of inadequacy. Anxiously, Daniel Park, original body, scans the street, his eyes darting back and forth in a frantic search for his mother. Lost in thought, Daniel Park, original body, worries about his mother's whereabouts, unable to reach her, while clutching the precious gift, the first he'd bought with his own paycheck, relieved it hadn't been stolen. The sting of Lee Tae-sung's graduation fee burns in Daniel Park, original body's mind, acknowledging the money is gone, yet recognizing his utter powerlessness to retaliate against his tormentor. He attempts to rationalize the humiliation, likening Lee Tae-sung's cruel act to an unavoidable natural disaster, clinging to the grim consolation that he, at least, survived the ordeal. He inwardly vows to rise above his current state, determined not to lose heart, only for his resolve to shatter as he witnesses his mother being harassed while collecting recycled paper, her meager earnings threatened. His mother, head bowed in shame, endures the scolding, her sacrifices for his education laid bare in the harsh words of her tormentor. Her weathered hands meticulously gather the discarded cardboard, each piece a testament to her unwavering dedication and silent suffering. Daniel Park, original body's world collapses as the full realization hits him, a choked whisper of "Mom" escaping his lips, his eyes wide with horror and helplessness. A poignant image of his mother's gentle, weary smile flickers in his mind, a stark contrast to the harsh reality of her daily struggle. Crouching amidst the refuse, his mother continues her arduous task, a faint, resilient smile gracing her lips, embodying tireless sacrifice. As night falls, a single window glows warmly, a beacon of home in the encroaching darkness, a place of comfort and love. Recalls his mother's joyful voice, her heartfelt appreciation for the gift he bought, her concern that it might get damaged, a testament to her selfless love. A magnificent feast, overflowing with braised short ribs and other delicacies, spreads before him, all prepared by his mother just for his return. Daniel Park, original body, stares, overwhelmed by her boundless love. His mother's gentle smile radiates warmth as she tells him not to worry about money, urging him instead to focus on his studies, her words a profound act of self-sacrifice. The raw emotion of his mother's unwavering love washes over Daniel Park, original body, his eyes widening with a mix of gratitude and overwhelming sorrow. His jaw clenches, a silent battle waged against the torrent of emotions threatening to overwhelm him. Daniel Park, original body, asks his mother if she remembers the friend living with him, and her face lights up with recognition, recalling the other Daniel Park. A wave of sympathy crosses his mother's face as she realizes Daniel Park, good-looking body, is alone during the holidays, her compassion evident. Daniel Park, original body's eyes blaze with a new resolve as he asks his mother if his other self, Daniel Park, good-looking body, could come and stay with them. Under the dim glow of the bus station lights, a lone bus awaits its destination, a new chapter for Daniel Park, good-looking body, as he arrives in Busan. Stepping off the bus, Daniel Park, good-looking body's striking appearance instantly captivates the crowd, whispers of handsome and celebrity following his every move. Daniel Park, good-looking body's expression hardens as he recalls an incident involving Untae Vasco, convinced he protected something from a perceived misunderstanding. Still reeling from the memory of that incident, Daniel Park, good-looking body, remains silent, his resolve firm, a quiet determination etched onto his features. His gaze sharpens, locking onto Jae-yeol, who stands nearby, seemingly lost in thought. Jae-yeol, startled, turns his head, his eyes wide with surprise as Daniel Park, good-looking body, calls out his name. Daniel Park, good-looking body, offers no further words, merely a silent, intense stare, his expression unreadable beneath his blonde fringe. Jae-yeol, caught off guard, bumbles for an excuse, claiming he's merely visiting a friend in Sihanoukdo, his voice betraying a hint of unease. Daniel Park, good-looking body's eyes are drawn to the tickets clutched in Jae-yeol's hand, Seoul to Busan and Busan to Seoul, a clear discrepancy. Daniel Park, good-looking body, simply states his own seat is inside, subtly revealing he's also heading to Busan, a silent challenge to Jae-yeol's flimsy story. Hina, a young woman nearby, gasps in surprise, her eyes wide with shock at the unfolding revelation. Meanwhile, Daniel Park, original body, grins broadly, a triumphant expression on his face, clearly pleased with the success of his deception. He quickly whispers to Hina, instructing her to tell his mother they're sleeping in shifts. Hina, however, is completely mesmerized by Daniel Park, good-looking body's stunning appearance. On the bus, Daniel Park, original body, and Hina sit in front, while Daniel Park, good-looking body, observes them from the seat behind, his gaze unwavering. Daniel Park, good-looking body, feigns astonishment, remarking on the incredible coincidence of Jae-yeol traveling to the same destination on the same bus, his words laced with subtle suspicion. A series of shots reveal the truth, a ticket counter, then a trash can overflowing with discarded papers, and finally, a close-up of crumpled Seoul to Busan tickets, confirming the elaborate ruse. Daniel Park, good-looking body, brings his ringed hand to his mouth, deep in thought, processing the layers of deception. Back at Daniel Park, original body's home, his mother, a kind-faced elderly woman, sits amidst stacks of boxes, cheerfully greeting an unseen visitor, mentioning Daniel Park, original body, is still asleep. Daniel Park, good-looking body, enters, bowing respectfully to the mother, who notes how many friends Daniel Park, original body, seems to have. The mother moves to wake Daniel Park, original body, but Daniel Park, good-looking body, swiftly intervenes, urging her not to, maintaining the pretense that Daniel Park, original body, is merely resting. She apologizes for the messy room, explaining she hasn't had time to tidy the boxes, to which Daniel Park, good-looking body, reassures her it's perfectly fine. Mother explains Daniel Park, original body, asked not to be woken, speculating he must be exhausted from work, unaware of the complex reality. Despite her age, Daniel Park, original body's mother insists on helping with the boxes, revealing she earns a meager $5 a day for the labor, a testament to her unwavering spirit. Daniel Park, good-looking body's expression softens, a silent acknowledgement of the mother's hard work and dedication. Mother points to Daniel Park, original body, sound asleep, confirming his identity to Daniel Park, good-looking body. She proudly introduces Daniel Park, original body, as her friend, who lives with her, completely oblivious to the fact that he is also Daniel Park, good-looking body. Daniel Park, good-looking body, responds with quiet sincerity, stating he came to help Daniel Park, original body, with a problem, hinting at his true purpose. Daniel Park, original body, wakes, greeting Daniel Park, good-looking body, with surprise, having heard about him. Daniel Park, good-looking body, introduces himself, navigating the awkwardness of their shared name with a slight chuckle. The mother beams, emphasizing that Daniel Park, original body, is her precious friend who lives with her words radiating warmth and affection. With a subtle gesture, Daniel Park, good-looking body, extends his hand, offering something small. He offers gum to Daniel Park, original body, who is comically surprised, asking if it's for quitting smoking. Daniel Park, good-looking body, clarifies he doesn't smoke, a moment of lighthearted interaction. Daniel Park, good-looking body, offers a gentle, appreciative smile, thanking him for his kindness. The mother explains that Daniel Park, original body, came to stay with them, providing context to his presence. Daniel Park, original body, confesses with deep regret that his mother had given him a $5 bill, but it was stolen because of his own carelessness. As Daniel Park, good-looking body, joins him in folding boxes, Daniel Park, original body, reveals the money was earned by his mother selling these very boxes, highlighting her sacrifices. Daniel Park, good-looking body, understands the profound significance of the lost $5. It wasn't just money, but a lucky charm, a symbol of his mother's love and struggle. Mother, radiating warmth, tells Daniel Park, good-looking body, to consider her his own mother, making him feel at home and promising to prepare food, her kindness a stark contrast to the harsh realities he often faces. Yet, even amidst such rare warmth, Daniel Park, good-looking body, as thoughts drift to those he cares for, a silent vow echoing in his mind, he's my precious friend. I came to help him. But this fierce resolve, this clenched determination, was not unique to Daniel Park good-looking body. A similar fire burned in the heart of another, a friend who faced his own brutal reality. Unte Vasco, shoulders broad and heavy with responsibility, faces a group of intimidating seniors forced to present a bag of collected money. Inside the bag, stacks of cash, the spoils of their predatory demands, glint under the harsh light. Suddenly, a brutal slap connects with Unte Vasco's face, a sharp, stinging impact that echoes through the room. Thug demands Unte Vasco turn his face, revealing the red mark looming across his cheek, a silent testament to the abuse. Another thug, Logan, a hulking figure, addresses Unte Vasco, demanding to know if he's screwing around with their orders. The pained grimace, Unte Vasco is forced to apologize to his tormentors, his face twisting in silent agony. Two senior thugs lounge nearby, one complaining that Unte Vasco was supposed to take care of the freshman, observing his reddened face with disdain. A close-up on the thug's narrowed eyes reveals his cold judgment. If you're in charge, you have to do it right. Disappointing. The thugs casually mention the new collection target, $3,000, a sum that brings a look of shock to Unte Vasco's face. Unte Vasco vehemently protests, questioning their sanity and the impossibility of collecting such an amount monthly, noting it's usually $1,000 per grade. Even one of the other thugs expresses disbelief, finding the demand for $3,000 ridiculous, regardless of who it's for. A swift kick sends Unte Vasco reeling, a senior thug warning him to watch his mouth. The beating continues, each impact a thud, as the thugs berate Unte Vasco for his rudeness, reminding him of their shared studio and challenging him to a match. Single bill drops as the thugs demand the small change be replaced with 50s, setting a new deadline for payment by next week, asserting their authority with cold smiles. Unte Vasco clutches his side, defeated and exhausted, while the thugs laugh mockingly at his plight. His eyes burn with a cold, murderous intent, a silent curse forming on his lips. $KSH Theods. Above, a serene sky offers a stark contrast to the dark underbelly of the city. Towering, opulent building stands as a symbol of power and wealth, a world away from the street-level struggles. Inside a luxurious apartment, a voice expresses surprise and honor at a visitor's arrival, setting a tone of deference. The opulent setting underscores the importance of the guest as the host continues to express his gratitude for the visit. Branch manager, visibly anxious, bows deeply, explaining his role and hoping his service yesterday was satisfactory, a nervous glance betraying his fear. Jae Yeol turns his head slightly, his expression unreadable, absorbing the information being presented to him. The trembling manager reveals the name of an infamous bad apple in the area, a peer of Jae Yeol's, Logan Lee. Manager, perplexed, questions Jae Yeol's interest in such a figure, hinting at another crucial piece of information. The revelation hits with a sense of doom. Logan Lee is not just a thug, but a formidable jiu-jitsu black belt. Back on the streets, Unte Vasco wipes sweat from his brow, declaring the collection is finally over, a sense of relief mixed with exhaustion. The scene is far from peaceful. Unte Vasco stands over a beaten thug, another lying unconscious, his face splattered with blood. He mutters, "It's $King annoying," as the fallen thug looks up in shock. The beaten thug stares up, eyes wide with disbelief and pain, unable to comprehend Unte Vasco's sudden, overwhelming power. Unte Vasco asserts his victory, a growl in his voice, "Since I beat you all, don't even try to take it back unless you want to die." He reclaims the collected money, declaring it hard-earned. Turning away from the defeated thugs, Unte Vasco dismisses them. "You guys can collect on your own. Stealing ain't my hobby. If I gave you all I stole, I'd be screwed." With a final, chilling challenge, Unte Vasco directs them to their true boss, that DCK you give the money to. "Tell him to come see me if he has a complaint." The thug groans, realizing the true scale of the monster he's awakened. As the echoes of the thug's chilling realization fade, a quiet, fierce resolve sparks in Daniel Park, original body's eyes. An internal declaration, "Nice, let's go," ignites within him, a silent vow to face his own battles. Scene shifts. Daniel Park, good-looking body, bids farewell to an older man, stating he'll return later. The man, with a look of surprise, informs him that Daniel Park, original body, is fast asleep and explicitly asks not to be woken. A single eye snaps open, wide with sudden alarm, hinting at a growing unease or a startling discovery related to Daniel Park, good-looking body's other self. Outside, the older man and Daniel Park, good-looking body, stand amidst towering stacks of discarded cardboard boxes, the cluttered environment casting a somber atmosphere. The older man recounts a strange occurrence from this morning, explaining that people from a hotel near here inexplicably left these boxes and asked me to take care of them. Daniel Park, good-looking body's expression hardens with concern. The sky above blazes with a fiery orange, a fleeting moment of aesthetic calm before the unfolding events. A heavy-set figure, revealed to be Daniel Park, original body, stands, a tattoo visible on his arm. He questions the air with a confused HUH, then a more direct, "Do you know me?" Daniel Park, original body, clad in his jiu-jitsu shirt, bellows in frustration, "K, why is everyone after me about money? Do I have a bad luck today?" His anger is palpable. His hand grips a black bag, pulling it taut as he begins to question, "Wait, are you?" The words trailing off in dawning realization. Standing before him, Daniel Park, good-looking body, calmly extends a hand, a smirk playing on his lips as he asks, "By any chance trying to rob me?" "Ha ha. Daniel Park, good-looking body, maintains a composed silence, his expression unreadable, hinting at a calculated assessment of the situation. The mention of money hangs in the air. Daniel Park, original body, still agitated, demands to know, "Are you joking with me? Who sent you? Did you come alone?" Daniel Park, good-looking body, remains stoic, then calmly queries, "Did my seniors send you?" With a swift sook sound, Daniel Park, good-looking body, sheds his jacket, revealing a formidable, muscular physique beneath a black tank top, clearly preparing for a confrontation. Onlookers gasp the sleeve, realizing he doesn't want to be caught. Daniel Park, original body, observes the move, internalizing he got rid of his sleeves. His expression shifts to a challenging glare as he declares, "You came here already. Follow me." Daniel Park, original body, asserts, "I'll make you tell me who sent you." Daniel Park, good-looking body, responds with a cold resolve, "I'll find out when I beat him." The stage is set for a brutal confrontation. The scene transitions to the exterior of a building, clearly marked with the sign, "TS Jiu-Jitsu." Inside, 3 defeated thugs slump on a couch, lamenting their humiliation. "We are, yes, cowardly. Yes," one groans. Another adds, "Yes, I am ashamed, but we are not strong enough." A third curses, FCK, "It's embarrassing. How can I go to school now?" Meanwhile, a hand grips a phone as a voice on the other end, presumably the elderly man, gang leader, asks, "So you want me to take care of it when I visit you this time?" The person on the line responds with a desperate, "Why yes, I am sorry." The elderly man, gang leader, reclines comfortably, calmly stating into the phone, "I don't collect money anymore." The voice on the other end, frantic, asks, "Why yes, then what I should do?" Knowing smile plays on the elderly man, gang leader's face as he reveals, Jungu is collecting the money all by himself now. He assures the caller, "I will talk to him," eliciting a relieved, "Why yes, thank you." The female thug/accomplice remarks with a sigh, "It's annoying." She then muses, "But it must be nice for you to not collect money anymore?" The elderly man, gang leader, responds with a sly grin, "I like it that Jungu is working hard 2 times more." The female thug/accomplice, now seated, reflects, "I'm so comfortable now that the president made me your bodyguard." She adds, "It's not any trouble to help you with your things and not have to collect money anymore." Her expression hardens as she refutes, "It's not a bodyguard, it's surveillance, and you didn't help much with our business. Why didn't you go when Yui called you?" She said that you didn't come. She retorts, "I went there. It wasn't a situation I needed to get involved in." A hand clutches a glass as the speaker explains the intricacies of their underworld. "The guys who were fighting with Yui were the guys who pay money to US. They are collecting money for US and are in our family. Yui is your family. I can't get involved." The other voice argues, "Then you should have negotiated," and reveals that guy was with Yui. The speaker clarifies, referring to the guy the president wanted me to watch. "This constraint meant so I couldn't come forward." The elderly man, gang leader, turns his gaze towards the female thug/accomplice, initiating with a terse, "Look." A mysterious man, adorned with a necklace and bracelet, inquires, "That friend, could I go and see that person?" The other voice questions, You have a busy schedule. Why?" The response is simple, "Just, the president is watching him." The mysterious pink-haired individual, holding a drink, expresses keen interest, "I am interested." The other voice grants permission, "Well, you can do that." The female thug/accomplice ponders, "But was it all done by the agency here? The celebrities are different." She concludes with a dismissive thought, "Not my taste." Vast amber sky stretches overhead, signaling another shift in the unfolding narrative. Back on the street, 2 figures, a man and a woman, stand aghast. "What?" one exclaims, while the other utters in disbelief, "Lite-sun?" A man's face contorts in anger and confusion as he demands, "What? Who are you? Am I your friend?" The man's face is a mask of pure, unadulterated panic, his features twisted as he realizes the sheer weight of the presence before him. His eyes dart frantically, searching for an exit that doesn't exist, the realization of his helplessness sinking in. A single bead of sweat tracks down his temple, a silent testament to the terror freezing him in place. Daniel absorbs the information with sharp focus, hearing that the person he is looking for is resting at a nearby construction site. The thugs around him try to play it off with fake camaraderie, inviting him for drinks as if they weren't just trembling in fear. Daniel ignores the noise, his mind reflecting on his previous hard-fought victories. His resolve hardens. If he could overcome the school's strongest, he can handle whatever nightmare awaits at that site. The scene shifts to the desolate, skeletal remains of the construction site, a graveyard of concrete and rebar where the battle begins. Without warning, a massive tattooed arm tears through the air, carrying enough power to shatter bone on impact. Jae-yeol intercepts the lethal punch with a movement so fluid it looks like water. A rapid-fire exchange erupts. Jae-yeol's strikes are surgical, targeting pressure points with terrifying efficiency. The brute growls, his massive frame unable to catch the blonde shadow dancing around his clumsy, heavy-handed assaults. Jae-yeol delivers a lightning-fast kick, the impact echoing through the construction site as he forces the giant to backtrack. The tattooed monster stares in disbelief, his pride wounded as he realizes he's being outplayed by someone half his size. Jae-yeol adjusts his rings, his expression hidden behind his hair, exuding a cold, professional aura that unnerves his opponent. The brute recognizes the style, realizing he's not just fighting a student but a practitioner of a lethal martial art. Tries to mask his fatigue, claiming his stamina is low, but his desperate eyes tell a different story. He wants to end this quickly, feeling the damage from his earlier brawls catching up to his massive body. Jae Yeol senses the shift in the air. The brute is about to abandon all pretense of a fair fight. Giant reaches into his pocket, pulling out a crumpled white envelope with a sadistic, knowing grin. He threatens to destroy it, knowing exactly how much power this small object holds over his opponent. This isn't just money, it's the hard-earned savings of Daniel's mother, a talisman of her love and sacrifice. Seeing the precious envelope in those filthy hands, Jae Yeol's legendary composure finally snaps. He lunges forward with reckless abandon, his tactical mind clouded by the need to protect the treasure. The brute smirks. The trap is set. He wanted Jae Yeol to get close, to trade his mobility for desperation. The envelope is dangled like bait, drawing the blonde fighter deeper into the giant's reach. In a split second, a massive hand shoots out, moving with a predatory speed that defies the brute's bulk. Jae Yeol realizes the mistake too late. The air is thick with the scent of a closing trap. The brute's fingers lock onto Jae Yeol's hair with a sickening grip, grounding the agile fighter instantly. Jae Yeol's eyes widen in shock as his momentum is violently halted, his head snapped back by the brute force. Giant looms over him, his face a mask of sadistic glee as he secures his grip. He reminds Jae Yeol that in a street fight there are no rules, no mats, and no mercy. Jae Yeol tries to lower his center, attempting to regain his footing even as the pain from his scalp flares. Brute laughs at the effort, tightening his grip until the blonde fighter is completely at his mercy. He mocks the very idea of specialized techniques, claiming the technical skill is worthless when faced with raw, dirty violence. The situation has spiraled into a nightmare. Can Jae Yeol survive this brutal clinch, or is the talisman lost forever? Jae Yeol is caught in a vice-like grip as a massive hand clamps down on his head, forcing him into a desperate struggle for breath. Pressure is immense. Lee Tae-sung locks his arms around Jae Yeol's neck, initiating a brutal grapple. Lee Tae-sung smirks, identifying the move as a standing guillotine choke. He doesn't even need to take the fight to the ground to end this. He lifts Jae Yeol, the sheer physical disparity between them becoming painfully obvious as the choke tightens. With Jae Yeol gasping for air, Lee Tae-sung demands to know who sent him, ordering him to give up before his consciousness fades. Monster issues a chilling warning. If Jae Yeol continues to endure this, the result won't just be defeat, it will be death. Jae Yeol's legs begin to tremble. The lack of oxygen is taking its toll, and his strength is rapidly draining away. Lee Tae-sung watches with cold, murderous intent, waiting for the light to leave his opponent's eyes. Despite the agony, Jae Yeol grits his teeth, refusing to utter a single word even as his world turns dark. Suddenly, a blur of motion interrupts the attack. Daniel Park, good-looking body, arrives on the scene with a roar. Daniel Park, good-looking body, lunges forward, his eyes wide with shock at the sight of his friend in such a dire state. Lee Tae-sung is caught off guard, his focus momentarily shifting from the choke to the new intruder. Anger flares in Daniel Park, good-looking body's eyes. He cannot believe the brutality unfolding before him. The desolate construction site becomes the stage for a new, even more dangerous confrontation. Daniel Park, good-looking body, grits his teeth, preparing himself for the monster that stands in his path. Lee Tae-sung looks on, his expression shifting from surprise to a twisted, predatory curiosity. The air is thick with tension as Daniel Park, good-looking body, stares down the man who nearly killed his friend. Daniel Park, good-looking body, internally questions why Jae Yeol is even here. Fighting someone as terrifying as Lee Tae-sung. He knows he has to act fast. Every second Jae Yeol remains unconscious is a second closer to tragedy. Lee Tae-sung snarls, demanding to know who this newcomer is and why he's interfering in his business. The brute is annoyed. His day was already going poorly, and now another friend has shown up to cause trouble. Jae Yeol falls to the ground, completely limp. The choke has done its damage, leaving him vulnerable. Lee Tae-sung doesn't hesitate. He launches a massive overhead strike aiming to crush Daniel Park, good-looking body, instantly. The speed of the attack is incredible for a man of his size. Daniel Park, good-looking body, barely has time to react. Lee Tae-sung thinks he has him. He believes his overwhelming power will end this fight before it even begins. Daniel Park, good-looking body, is terrified, but he knows he cannot afford to get caught. He must move now. A massive impact reverberates through the air as the two forces collide in a blur of motion. An incredible display of reflex, Daniel Park, good-looking body, parries the blow, redirecting the monster's momentum. Lee Tae-sung's eyes widen in disbelief. No one has ever deflected his strength so effortlessly. Daniel Park's hand trembles from the sheer force of the impact. This opponent is on an entirely different level of power. Lee Tae-sung is stunned. He realizes his attack was brushed off like it was nothing. His frustration turns into genuine shock. Lee Tae-sung's previous dominance is now an afterthought as Daniel Park, good-looking body, stands his ground. Daniel Park, good-looking body, rushes to Jae Yeol's side, desperately calling out to him to wake up before Lee Tae-sung recovers. As he looks back at the tattooed giant, Daniel Park, good-looking body, realizes that the real nightmare is only just beginning. The air turns cold as Daniel Park, good-looking body, feels his heart hammer against his ribs. This isn't just a confrontation, it's a collision with his darkest fears. Standing before him is the human mountain, Lee Tae-sung. The sheer scale of the man's presence is enough to make any normal fighter turn and run. The look of pure annoyance, Lee Tae-sung sneers, demanding to know who this newcomer is and if he's just another friend of the trash he just finished cleaning up. Daniel Park, good-looking body, remains frozen. His mind is a whirlwind of tactical analysis and sheer terror, searching for a way out that doesn't end in a hospital bed. This is the moment he dreaded. Facing Lee Tae-sung is like staring into the abyss of his own past humiliations. Flashes back to the training, the sweat, and the absolute conviction that this new body would finally give him the power to stand his ground. But the scars on his soul from his life as Daniel Park, original body, run deeper than any muscle. The memory of being powerless is a poison that paralyzes him. His eyes narrow as he fights the urge to tremble. The internal conflict is more violent than any physical blow. Lee Tae-sung sighs, dismissive of the silence. To him, Daniel is just another obstacle not worth the effort of crushing. The pressure is immense. Daniel can feel the sweat stinging his eyes as the monster before him waits for a reason to strike. Surprisingly, the giant turns away. He tells Daniel to take his broken friend and get lost before he changes his mind about letting them live. Daniel Park, good-looking body, rushes to the side of the fallen Jae-yeol. The sight of his loyal friend unconscious and beaten is a bitter pill to swallow. Can't believe it. Is the monster really just walking away? Is this nightmare ending with a whimper instead of a bang? The sky above begins to fade into the hues of sunset, a beautiful backdrop to a scene of utter defeat. The power lines hum in the silence of the alleyway, mirroring the buzzing anxiety still coursing through Daniel's veins. Jae-yeol remains still, his face pale. The boy who always had Daniel's back is now the one who needs saving. Lifting his friend, Daniel Park, good-looking body, feels the weight of his own inadequacy. He was supposed to be the strong one now. He hoists Jae-yeol onto his back, the physical burden matching the heavy guilt sitting in his chest. Jae-yeol's head lolls against his shoulder. Even in sleep, his friend looks exhausted from the one-sided slaughter. Daniel tries to force a reassuring smile, even though there's no one to see it. He tells himself that getting out alive is a victory in itself. But then, his eyes drop to Jae-yeol's hand. Clutched tightly between bruised fingers is a small, crumpled piece of paper. It's a 5,001 bill, the very money that Lee Tae-sung had extorted from him earlier that day. Realization hits Daniel like a physical strike. His eyes widen in pure shock. Jae-yeol didn't just stumble into a fight. He went back. He faced that monster alone just to retrieve what Daniel had lost. He took a beating from Lee Tae-sung for me. The weight on Daniel's back suddenly feels 1,000 times heavier. Daniel Park, good-looking body, grits his teeth so hard they might shatter. The shame of his own cowardice is more painful than any wound Lee Tae-sung could have inflicted. The shame of his own cowardice is more painful than any physical wound. His sense of inadequacy is reflected in the meager sum of money he holds. A single bill feels heavy in his hand, a symbol of his limited resources and the life he is trying to escape. The silence of his thoughts is punctuated by the rustle of the paper. Tears stream down Daniel's face. Despite his physical transformation, he remains plagued by the same fears and insecurities, realizing that his internal self has not changed along with his appearance. His inner turmoil continues as he is forced to confront the bitter truth of his own selfishness. The memory of Jae-yeol carrying him is a source of fresh humiliation. Daniel remembers protesting the help as the image of his own weakness remains indelible. Scene shifts to a bustling urban landscape and a large department store featuring a promotional banner. Inside, a tense exchange unfolds. A customer attempts to exchange a stained garment, but an employee refuses, leading to a disagreement about whether the stain was pre-existing. Two employees maintain a firm stance against the exchange, despite another well-dressed customer having just successfully returned an item. Daniel watches in disbelief as the employees suggest his mother intentionally stained the clothes. His heart aches as he recalls his mother's apology over the garment. He cannot bear to see her taking the blame for the situation. The employees continue their accusations, claiming the stain is the customer's fault. Daniel is shocked and confronts them about their dismissive comments. Voice cuts through the air, demanding silence. The employees quickly apologize, recognizing an authoritative figure. Daniel stands tall as an elderly manager bows profusely, apologizing for the trouble and promising to handle the situation. Daniel is surprised to recognize a familiar face amidst the commotion. Jae-yeol is revealed to be working at the department store. Daniel is bewildered to find his friend there. Employees are stunned as the situation is resolved by the unexpected presence of Daniel's friend. Daniel requests the exchange of the clothes, and the employees immediately comply in a state of fear. He expresses his gratitude to Jae-yeol, realizing his friend has been a silent supporter for quite some time. In the backroom of the store, the employees are forced to offer a formal apology. The two employees kneel and apologize loudly under pressure from their superior. The manager bows deeply to Daniel's mother, offering her special status at the store. She is humble and confused by the sudden change in treatment, not recognizing the man. Under a vast, open sky, a man lifts a heavy barbell with intense focus and determination. Barbell is racked with a definitive clank. He finishes his set and acknowledges the arrival of a visitor. Vasco, his muscular frame covered in tattoos, looks at the newcomer with a sharp and unwavering gaze. Daniel stands before him, looking surprised as Vasco addresses him. Sweat glistens on Daniel's face as he cries out with desperate resolve, expressing his intense desire to change. Vasco narrows his eyes, gauging Daniel's true determination. Daniel affirms his resolve, stating his need to change more than just his appearance. Realizing he has been running away from his problems, Daniel feels a fundamental shift in his spirit as he stands at the school gates. A lone cigarette burns, clutched between fingers, as a man takes a deep, troubled drag, the smoke offering a fleeting escape from his internal turmoil. Daniel Park sits slumped against a wall, a curse escaping his lips as he obsesses over the bullies who torment him, desperate to find their school. His eyes narrow, frustration mounting as he recounts his fruitless search for information on his tormentors. It's as if they've vanished entirely. A cruel smile spreads across a bully's face as he sarcastically announces the arrival of their Pikachu at school. The leader of the bullies, still smoking, exchanges a chilling suggestion with his accomplice. Let's make him act like a dog today. With a triumphant cackle, the bully declares Daniel's mission for the day: to act like a dog. He starts a 30-second countdown. Humiliation washes over Daniel as he is forced to crawl on all fours, surrounded by jeering students who bark insults and count down his torment. Daniel's face contorts in despair and silent fury. Internally, he screams, "Don't look at me, I want to die." Later, his legs pound the pavement, each step a struggle as he pushes through exhaustion, his ragged breathing filling the air. 30 seconds more. During a grueling training session, Daniel pushes his limits while Vasco runs beside him, offering encouragement. Daniel's face is a mess of sweat and agony. "I'm running with Vasco," he thinks, "but it's too hard. I want to die." Daniel gazes up, his expression a mix of exhaustion and determination as he looks at Vasco's resolute back. Fierce resolve ignites in Daniel's eyes. I want to change," he declares internally, his voice raw with desperation. Vasco's intense gaze confirms his commitment. He has dedicated himself to exercising with Daniel. As Daniel collapses, gasping for air, Vasco calmly sips his drink and acknowledges the effort. Daniel manages to stammer a question. Vasco listens with a thoughtful expression as Daniel wonders if there is more to training than just running, perhaps something like martial arts. Daniel's eyes widen as Vasco delivers a stark truth: there is no shortcut. Vasco turns away, his words resonating with unwavering conviction. "Your body won't betray your effort." Daniel processes the profound statement, the weight of the truth settling upon him and igniting a flicker of resolve. Vasco emphasizes that true change demands effort and is impossible to achieve in a single day. Daniel silently agrees, keeping his secret hidden. Daniel asks Vasco about his daily regimen. Vasco calmly lists his routine: 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups, 100 squats, and a 10 kilometers run. Daniel is stunned, thinking, this guy is crazy. Daniel stares at Vasco, a silent question hanging in the air as he contemplates the sheer dedication required. In a memory, a young bum Jay greets Vasco with a wide smile, a familiar morning ritual from their past. Young Daniel feigns surprise, asking Bum Jay if he used telepathy to find him. Bum Jay quickly corrects him, admitting he used GPS. Daniel sits pensively, wondering if that particular habit still sticks to Vasco in the present day. Daniel greets Bum Jay, surprised he is still persisting with the routine after only 3 days, a testament to his tenacity. Bum Jay's expression sours as he silently grumbles about someone stealing Vasco's time without reason, a hint of jealousy in his thoughts. Daniel clutches the chocolate drink Vasco gave him, feeling a pang of guilt. He knows he might give up soon and questions why Vasco bothers with him. In a bustling classroom, a student with glasses addresses the class, noting the date and calling for student number 20 to come forward. A heavily bandaged hand slowly rises, a silent answer to the teacher's call as the room wonders who number 20 is. Daniel sits confidently at his desk, his hands heavily bandaged. He wears a knowing smile, completely unfazed by the attention. Daniel addresses the teacher, gesturing to his bandages. When asked why he's at school, he coolly replies, "To keep my attendance record perfect." A spoonful of rice topped with savory ingredients signifies a brief moment of respite, a simple meal amidst a complex life. Daniel Park lets out a satisfied sigh, his eyes closed in pure bliss as the flavors of a home-cooked meal melt on his tongue. Newell gently guides another spoonful toward him, her expression a mix of care and mild irritation at his bandaged, helpless state. She snaps at him to stop being picky and just eat what she provides, her dominant personality shining through even in this moment of kindness. Meanwhile, in his other body, a hand abruptly thrusts a chocolate drink toward Daniel Park. Vasco stands over him, his stoic face and intense gaze making the simple gesture feel like a high-stakes confrontation. He claims he merely found the drink on the ground, a blatant lie that fails to hide his clumsy attempt at being a good friend. Bum Jay watches from the side, sweat dropping at his leader's bizarrely aggressive way of showing affection. Daniel Park accepts the gift with a polite thanks, inwardly questioning where Vasco finds discarded drinks every single day. The Burn Knuckles crew gathers, their rough exteriors and matching jumpsuits masking a surprisingly disciplined camaraderie. As Daniel Park walks with Min Young, the conversation turns to the biting cold and the lack of outdoor activities. His mind drifts to the Burn Knuckles. What kind of group are they? Are they just a gang, or something more complex? He observes them from a distance. They look like typical delinquents looking for a way to kill time and display their strength. But the respect they command is undeniable, all centered around the enigmatic presence of their leader, Vasco. Suddenly, another hand enters the frame, offering even more chocolate milk to the already overwhelmed Daniel Park. It's Jay Yule, silent as always, his loyalty manifested through a constant, quiet supply of snacks and support. As the sun begins to set, casting a golden hue over the neighborhood, Daniel Park heads home through the quiet streets. He spots a massive student, Dae Wong, straining with every fiber of his being against a heavily loaded handcart. Without hesitation, Daniel Park steps in, grabbing the handle to assist the struggling giant with a cheerful smile. A nearby resident watches in absolute shock, his jaw dropping at the sheer, effortless speed of the young man. Daniel Park sprints forward, the massive cart moving as if it were weightless in his powerful grip. Wong stares at his own hands in silence, the realization of the massive gap in their physical capabilities beginning to sink in. He is left speechless, stunned by the casual display of overwhelming force from someone who looks so refined. This isn't the first time Daniel Park has used his physical gifts to solve a problem with direct action. Earlier, a group of children had been wailing over an expensive soccer ball wedged deep within the branches of a tall tree. Their tears were relentless, mourning the loss of their prized possession that was far out of reach. The ball sat mockingly high, a challenge that seemed impossible for any normal student to overcome. Daniel Park focused his gaze, his eyes narrowing as he calculated the precise impact point. Impact! A single, thunderous kick strikes the trunk, sending a violent shockwave through the entire tree. The ball is shaken loose instantly, plummeting back to the ground as Daniel Park holds his flawless follow-through. He flashes a bright, innocent smile, claiming he only wanted to help the kids, seemingly unaware of the feat he just performed. Jay, who witnessed the entire event, can only stare at the tree in a state of total, paralyzed shock. The massive trunk bears the mark of the strike, a testament to a level of power that shouldn't belong to a high schooler. Daniel Park notices Jay's frozen expression and tries to break the tension with a friendly word. Jay looked on, lost in thought with a grim expression. Damn it, he muttered to himself, that guy, he really knows how to use his feet. The memory of Vasco's past defeat flashed through his mind, causing him to furrow his brow. So it wasn't a coincidence? He actually managed to beat Vasco. Daniel Park sat hunched over, nervous sweat beading on his forehead as he tried to focus. What am I thinking? He stammered internally, quickly dismissing the thought. He's just some sucker. Then, a sudden realization sparked in his eyes. Wait, that's it. Sharp glint entered Jay's eyes as the name crossed his mind. Vasco. Daniel Park watched Tae perform dips effortlessly, a wave of admiration and envy washing over him. He's incredible, he thought. So strong and capable. I'm jealous he was born with a body like that. As sweat dripped from Tae's focused face, Daniel's internal monologue reached a conclusion. He's in a different world than I am. Genuine, admiring smile spread across Daniel's face. He's so cool, he thought. Jay maintained a quiet, observant gaze. Below him, Daniel shifted uncomfortably, momentarily distracted by a sudden urge to use the restroom. However, his thoughts quickly returned to Tae. This guy, he's really going to keep at it, he mused. He might be a nicer guy than I thought. The scene shifted to a memory. Tae stood before Daniel, asking for water. When Daniel nervously offered a can of soda, Tae dismissed it with a firm command. You should throw that away. Jay's mind delved deeper into the past, picturing a younger Tae sitting alone, clutching a superhero toy. The Lee Tae from back then, he thought, a sense of nostalgia washing over him. The small hands of young Tae gripped the toy tightly, his innocent mind filled with heroic ideals. I am a hero, he thought. I am a man of justice. Standing resolute, young Tae mentally confronted an unseen foe. How dare you attack the weak? His unwavering conviction echoed. Young Tae donned a makeshift red cape, radiating childish defiance. Come at me, he declared. I will never fall. On a sun-drenched playground, young Jay watched his friend with a puzzled expression. What are you doing, Tae? He asked. Young Tae, fully immersed in his role, instructed him. You have to speak like a villain now. Young Jay simply stared, a silent question in his eyes as he tried to grasp the rules of the game. Young Tae looked up, a serious question forming on his lips. Jay, he began, if a hero doesn't help others, is that wrong? Young Jay pondered the question deeply. What if the villain is stronger? Why should he fight for others? The narrator emphasized Tae's unique personality. Exasperated by Jay's overthinking, young Tae declared, You idiot! What kind of hero thinks like that? Taste my super punch. Jay winced, crying out, Stop, that hurts. Time passed and a new chapter began. A banner proudly announced, Congratulations on entering middle school over the gates of their new school. Inside the classroom, young Jay expressed his delight. It's nice that we're in the same class, he said to Tae. Tae, aren't you happy too? Tae responded with a simple, yeah, sure. Jay turned to Tae, attempting to connect over a new hobby. Tae, he asked, have you ever played a phone game? Tae looked visibly uncomfortable, leading Jay to assume he must really want to play one too. Young Tae's face showed a flicker of surprise, then he gave a hesitant but firm nod. Yeah, sure, he agreed. A new voice cut through the air, addressing young Jay directly. Hey, you with the big ears. 3 new students approached confidently. One boy questioned, Which elementary school are you from? The girl smirked, adding, He wants to be friends. Your ears are really big. Like this. New students extended an invitation. Want to go to the cafeteria with us? Jay turned to Tae, relaying the offer. Tae, do you want to go? Tae agreed, but with one condition. Okay, buy me a chocolate milk. The trio continued to boast. Jin-ho was the boss back at John Elementary, one declared, while another added, his level in Maple is over 100. The girl nervously tried to interject, Hey, stop it. The smiling student, Jin-ho, preened under the attention. My nickname is Fire Fist Ace, he thought proudly. He then added with feigned modesty, that was a long time ago, it's embarrassing. An observer noted his impressive height, he looks like he's 170 centimeters tall. Jin-ho's boast of being Fire Fist Ace echoes, but a stark contrast emerges in a memory. A young Tae, Vasco, then known as Jay, Young, is caught off guard as a nearby student questions the audacious nickname. Another voice quickly hushes him, trying to suppress the young boy's own hero worship. Jay is a hero. Tae, hush. The atmosphere shifts abruptly as an aggressive shout echoes through a convenience store. Hey, 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 get lost. A group of intimidating figures confronts a line of students, one of the bullies snarling, "Get lost, you Q. If there are no dumplings, you're going to die." The smaller students offer timid, fearful greetings. Terrified students whisper amongst themselves, wondering who these aggressive newcomers are, their faces etched with fear. Amidst the tension, an unseen student warns the others to greet the intimidating figure, identifying him as the scariest guy in third year. A new student timidly offers a greeting, while internally questioning the bully's fearsome reputation. The bully's true colors emerge as he aggressively demands cigarettes, his finger pointing menacingly. His menacing aura solidifies his reputation, leaving the younger students terrified. To everyone's surprise, one of the cornered students produces a pack of cigarettes, handing them over in a desperate attempt to appease the bully. The bully, satisfied, then demands a lighter before asserting his dominance further by ordering the frightened students to follow him for a forced smoking session. Some students, eager for protection or influence, readily agree to follow, seeing it as an opportunity. One, however, Bum J. Young, internally panics, admitting he has never smoked. Stern voice cuts through the relief. "Don't go, Bum J." It's Unte Vasco, asserting his protective stance. Bum J. Young recoils, remembering his mother's strict warnings against smoking, while the other students look on, stunned by Unte Vasco's unexpected intervention. Unte Vasco's defiant voice rings out, declaring that people who smoke are trash, a direct insult that silences the bullies and leaves them fuming. Unte Vasco holds their gaze, his expression unyielding, refusing to back down. The enraged bully demands to know who dared defy him, insulting Unte Vasco as retarded. A terrified bystander quickly agrees, hoping to redirect the bully's anger. With a furious roar, the bully unleashes a powerful strike connecting squarely with Unte Vasco's face. Yet, Unte Vasco stands his ground, unwavering. Surrounding students gasp in collective shock, witnessing the brutal assault in Unte Vasco's stoic defiance. The bully stares in disbelief. Unte Vasco remains standing, absorbing the blow without a flinch. Enraged by this unexpected resilience, the bully prepares to strike again. Despite the visible injury, Unte Vasco's gaze hardens. He refuses to apologize, internally questioning the bully's absurd demand for respect from someone who resorts to violence. Refusing, the bully snarls, escalating his assault with a vicious kick that connects with Unte Vasco's body. Unte Vasco endures a barrage of blows, his silence infuriating the bully who mocks his resilience, challenging him to fight back. Bum J. Young watches in horror, hearing the bully's sadistic laughter as they vow to continue their assault until Unte Vasco finally breaks and cries out. Unte Vasco remains stoic, his body absorbing the relentless punishment, refusing to give them the satisfaction of a scream. Narration shifts, revealing a painful memory. The speaker, filled with regret, recalls how he ignored Bum J. Young during this brutal ordeal, his focus lost amidst the chaos, unable to discern Unte Vasco's true expression. The bully's voice drips with contempt, accusing his victim of making him look foolish in front of the other students before delivering a cutting insult about their small stature. Unte Vasco's eyes, obscured by shadow, burn with a fierce resolve as he defiantly declares, "You should play with me starting today," a chilling challenge to his tormentor. Scene abruptly shifts to Daniel Park, original body bruised and disheveled, as he shuffles into a room, the sound of the door creaking echoing his exhaustion. Our Sue, Ho Young, and Min Young stare in horrified silence, their faces reflecting the shock of seeing Daniel Park, original body, in such a battered state. Daniel Park, original body, slumps at his desk, a heavy sigh escaping him. He reflects on the relentless bullying, a grim realization that this horrible reality has become his everyday. Concerned male student with glasses glances towards Unte Vasco, a worried question hanging in the air, "Is he okay?" A sudden jolt of realization strikes Daniel Park, original body, his eyes snapping open in a flash of shock and understanding. Daniel Park, original body, spots crimson stains on his shirt, a chilling realization dawning on him. Blood? He whispers, his mind racing with the brutal force Unte Vasco must have endured. Surge of courage washes over Daniel Park, original body. He resolves to approach Unte Vasco, to listen to his struggles and to stand with him against their tormentors. With newfound determination, he asks, "Unte, are they giving you a hard time?" Unte Vasco offers a small, weary smile, insisting that he's fine. He claims it doesn't even hurt, despite the visible toll it's taking. But those watching can see right through the facade. They know the weight of those lies all too well. Bum J watches from the sidelines, his brow furrowed with a mix of guilt and fear. He wants to believe his friend is as invincible as he pretends to be, but the sweat on his own face betrays his anxiety. Reality is far grimmer. Unte Vasco stands there with a split lip and a hollow gaze, the physical evidence of a struggle he refuses to voice. He is a child carrying a man's burden of silence. Suddenly, a shadow looms over them. A bully commands Bum J to head to the cafeteria, his voice dripping with casual malice. The hierarchy is clear, and the command is absolute. Bum J jolts to his feet, his movements frantic and subservient. He doesn't dare look back, his heart hammering against his ribs as he prepares to follow the pack. Bully's face is a mask of cold indifference. He asks what Bum J wants to eat, not out of kindness, but as a reminder of who holds the leash in this twisted social dynamic. Meanwhile, Unte Vasco is left in the crushing silence of the classroom. He sits alone at his desk clutching a small juicebox, a solitary figure amidst the ghosts of his peers. He sips the drink slowly, his eyes fixed on nothingness. It's a quiet moment of isolation, a stark contrast to the loud, violent world waiting for him outside these walls. Bum-jae admits a painful truth. He began to stay away. The sight of Unte Vasco became a mirror to his own cowardice, and the shame was more than he could bear. The school alleyway stands empty, a desolate corridor where secrets are buried and spirits are broken. It is a place of shadows and forgotten promises. One afternoon, after sneaking away from the others, Bum-jae wanders through the back lot. He's looking for a moment of peace, but the air feels heavy with an unspoken sorrow. Sound catches his ear, a soft, rhythmic noise coming from the shadows. He stops in his tracks, his senses heightened as he turns toward the source. There, tucked away in a corner of the alley, is a lone figure. Bum-jae freezes, wondering who could be out here all alone in a place like this. His eyes widen as the realization hits him. The figure is familiar, the posture unmistakable. It's him. Unte Vasco is broken. He's sobbing into his hands, his entire body shaking with the force of his grief. The boy who claimed nothing hurt is finally letting the pain overflow. The questions swarm Bum-jae's mind like hornets. Did he endure all of this alone? Did he really pretend to be okay while his soul was being crushed? It was the first time Bum-jae had ever seen him cry. The sight is traumatic, shattering the image of the stoic friend he thought he knew. Thought repeats like a haunting mantra. He pretended he was okay. He wore a mask of strength while drowning in a sea of sadness. He endured it all alone. No one to lean on, no one to share the burden. Just a child facing a world of cruelty with nothing but his own fading resolve. Bum-jae is paralyzed by the sight. He wants to reach out, to say something, but the words are choked back by his own overwhelming guilt. The next day, an empty seat in the classroom speaks volumes. When asked who sits there, the answer is a heavy whisper. Unte Vasco. Bum-jae knows his friend wouldn't just run away. If he's not here, it means the beating was so severe that he physically couldn't make it to school. A dark, selfish thought crosses his mind. Maybe it's better this way. If Unte Vasco comes back, the hell will only continue for both of them. But the peace is short-lived. A hooded bully approaches Bum-jae, his presence a cold reminder that the predators are always hunting. Bully explains that he told the others Unte Vasco skip school. He seems to be doing Bum-jae a favor, but the price is about to be revealed. Bum-jae looks up, his eyes wide with a new kind of terror. The realization of what's coming next drains the color from his face. The bully's next words are a death sentence. They wanted me to bring his friend this time. The target has shifted, and there is nowhere left to hide. Bum-jae is led to the designated spot, his legs feeling like lead. He is greeted by the mocking calls of those who find joy in the suffering of others. The scene is a nightmare. Bullies lounge around, laughing as they torment a defenseless student who was forced to cling to a pole like an insect. One of the thugs grins maliciously, promising that they won't hit him if he's good. It's a lie they tell to make the humiliation last longer. The victim is forced to play the cicada, clinging to the pole and making chirping noises while the bullies laugh. It is a dehumanizing spectacle designed to break the spirit. In the center of it all sits a senior in an orange jacket, casually smoking. He is the apex predator of this yard, and his gaze is cold and calculating. He turns his head slightly, asking if Bum-jae is the friend they were looking for. The smoke from his cigarette drifts lazily into the air, adding to the oppressive atmosphere. Nearby, a group of girls watches the scene with amusement, mocking Bum-jae's appearance. Their laughter is just as sharp and painful as any physical blow. Bum-jae begins to shake uncontrollably. He realizes that Unte Vasco was brought to a place like this every single day, enduring this hell without a word of complaint. The violence begins with a sudden, brutal impact. Someone is kicked hard against the pole, the sound of the collision echoing through the yard as the cycle of torment claims its next victim. The male student with glasses collapses in the dirt, his breath hitching as a shadow looms over him. The bully's voice cuts through the air, mocking his pathetic attempt to resist the inevitable torment. Agony flares across his face. In the midst of the pain, his thoughts drift to Unte Vasco. He wonders if there are others out there forced to endure this hellish cycle. The question haunts him. Is he the only one? Or is the world filled with predators and victims just like them? A hand slides casually into a yellow hoodie pocket. The predator is calm, his boredom manifesting as a new, twisted game. He towers over the fallen boy, a marker gripped like a weapon. He offers a choice that isn't a choice at all, except the punishment for being rude. Shock and terror paralyze the male student with glasses. The reflection in his lenses is the face of a boy who has realized there is no rescue coming. In a frantic, animalistic panic, he scrambles up a utility pole. He clings to the cold metal, his dignity dissolving with every desperate inch he climbs. His eyes are wide, darting, looking for any escape that doesn't exist. The sweat of pure fear beads on his forehead. Flashback triggers. Bum-jae Young stands frozen, witnessing a scene of absolute despair that mirrors his own current nightmare. The realization is a crushing weight. He is going to be broken, just like everyone else who crossed their path. In the dark corners of his memory, a figure lies defeated on the cold ground. This is the fate that awaits the weak in this world. Marker descends. It's not just ink, it's a brand of ownership. The bully drags it across his skin with sadistic precision. Humiliation is the objective. He is forced to sit still as they draw on him, turning his face into a joke for their amusement. Girls laugh in the background, their cruelty just as sharp as the bullies. The victim forces a smile, a desperate survival tactic to avoid worse violence. Brutal impact. The marker is driven deep into his nose with a sickening force. This isn't just a prank anymore, it's a physical assault. He reels back, clutching his face as blood and ink mingle. The idiot with the marker has reached a new level of depravity. The bully's mouth curls into a cold sneer. He notes the victim's recent absences, his voice devoid of any empathy. He issues a command: bring him here tomorrow. The predator is looking for fresh meat to break. The final threat is whispered: next time, it won't be a marker. The implication of lethal violence hangs heavy in the air. Bum Jae-young stares into the distance, the weight of these memories etched into his soul. It's been a long time since he felt safe. The school courtyard stands empty, a silent witness to the daily atrocities committed in the name of fun. Bum Jae-young scrubs at his face, trying to wash away the shame, but the marks on his spirit won't fade as easily as the ink. The bully's face remains a constant specter in his mind, a symbol of the arrogance that rules this school. He recalls Eun-tae Vasco's incredible resilience. No matter how many times they hit him, he never made a single sound. The sheer force of that endurance is mind-boggling. How could one person take so much and never break? Bum Jae-young checks on Eun-tae Vasco at home. He tries to keep things light, but the tension in the room is palpable. Eun-tae Vasco lies in bed, looking drained. The physical toll of his silent war is finally starting to show. Bum Jae-young puts on a brave face, offering school notes as an excuse for his visit. He's desperate to protect his friend. But then he sees them blood-soaked tissues piled on the desk. The evidence of the brutal beatings Eun-tae Vasco has been hiding is finally out in the open. The flickering fluorescent light overhead hums with a cold, clinical indifference, mirroring the chilling realization settling in the room. Eun-tae lies there, his face flushed with a deep, unnatural fever, his breathing heavy as he tries to endure the internal and external agony. Bum Jae tries to focus on his homework, his pen hovering over the paper, but the silence in the room is heavy with unspoken trauma. Suddenly, Eun-tae snaps, his eyes wide with desperate, primal fear as he demands that the pen be taken away immediately. Bum Jae freezes, his heart hammering as he looks at his friend, who is retreating further under the covers like a wounded animal. Demand hangs in the air, sharp and jagged. Why would a simple pen cause such a violent reaction in the boy who never complains? Eun-tae begins to shiver violently, the fabric of the blanket trembling as he tries to hide the truth that is literally written on his soul. Bum Jae's eyes widen as the pieces of the puzzle begin to click together in the most horrific way possible. Memories flood back: the blood, the strange behavior, and the constant secrecy. It wasn't just a fever, it was a massacre. With a surge of desperate resolve, Bum Jae lunges forward, determined to see what his best friend has been suffering through alone. His breath hitches. The world seems to stop as he prepares to face the nightmare hidden beneath the cotton sheets. Eun-tae whispers that it's okay, his voice devoid of life, but his eyes tell a story of absolute devastation. The blanket is ripped away, revealing the unthinkable. Eun-tae's chest is a battlefield of scars, bruises, and horrific words carved into his skin. The blood-soaked tissues on the desk were just the tip of the iceberg. This is systematic, sadistic torture. Crude, hateful words are etched into his flesh, the wounds still raw and angry, screaming of the humiliation he endured in silence. Bum Jae can't even scream. The sheer scale of the cruelty leaves him paralyzed, his mind reeling from the sight of his broken friend. Every inch of Eun-tae's upper body is marked by violence. This wasn't a fight, it was a branding. Carvings are deep and jagged, a permanent reminder of the monsters who walk the school halls alongside them. The discarded tissues now look like remnants of a crime scene, a silent testament to the pain Eun-tae tried to wipe away. Bum Jae remembers their games of heroes and villains, but the reality is far darker than any story they ever played. Tears finally break through. Bum Jae sobs, the weight of his friend's suffering crushing the last of his childhood innocence. Eun-tae sits up, his posture slumped, the marks on his back and arms visible as he stares into the void of his own trauma. He explains through a hollow voice that he couldn't beg. He wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing him break. Bum Jae listens, his heart breaking for the boy who chose to be a silent martyr rather than a broken victim. Eun-tae's jaw tightens as he reveals the twisted logic of his tormentors, how they thrive on the screams of the weak. In his mind, he sees images of the abuse and the way they looked at him as if he were nothing more than a toy to be broken. Bullies didn't just want to hurt him, they wanted to show their power to the world, using his body as their canvas. They felt superior every time he winced, every time he gasped for air. To them, his pain was their glory. But Eun-tae refuses to lose. Even with his skin flayed and his spirit battered, he will not give them the victory of his surrender. Bum Jae sees a new fire in his friend's eyes, a cold, hard resolve that was forged in the fires of hell. Eun-tae declares that all handsome people are bad, his trauma warping his view of the world as he searches for a reason for his suffering. Bum Jae clenches his fists, the helplessness he felt transforming into a burning desire for justice. He looks at his friend, no longer seeing a victim but a survivor who needs someone to stand by his side. Outside, the school stands like a monolith of oppression, its walls hiding 1,000 more stories of pain and silence. But the monsters are coming out into the light, and soon, the debt of blood and tears will have to be paid in full. A brutal strike lands, the sound of flesh meeting bone echoing through the hallway as the first blow is delivered. Spectators are frozen, their faces twisted in a mixture of horror and disbelief at the sudden explosion of violence. Pain flares as the victim clutches his face, the realization of his absolute helplessness setting in amidst the chaos. The bully sneers, mocking the scars once worn, using the past as a weapon to sharpen his current cruelty. Fear radiates from the boy as he realizes he is the next target for this senseless, escalating malice. The air is filled with the rhythmic thud of blows, a symphony of violence that shows no sign of stopping. The boy can do nothing but brace himself, enduring a storm of strikes that seem to last an eternity. The crowd watches in a heavy, suffocating silence, too terrified to even breathe as the power dynamic is brutally enforced. Eyes are averted, the collective guilt of the onlookers weighing as heavy as the punches being thrown in the corner. Curled into a ball, the victim tries to disappear into the floor, his spirit breaking with every impact. Above him, the antagonist stares down with cold, calculating eyes, savoring the dominance he has established. The physical pain is secondary to the crushing weight of humiliation that the boy feels in this moment. Dark, predatory grin spreads across the bully's face. He isn't finished with his display of power yet. Nearby, another victim is forced into a degrading display, a reminder that the weak are merely toys in this hierarchy. Bully's gaze hardens, his patience wearing thin as he demands absolute, unquestioning submission from everyone present. Laughter ripples through the group of tormentors, a jagged sound that cuts deeper than any physical blow. An order is barked out, sending a lackey scrambling to play lookout and ensure their fun remains uninterrupted. The door is secured, sealing the victims inside a private hell where the rules of the outside world no longer apply. Even among the cruel, a flicker of unease passes as the lead bully's behavior turns truly erratic and dangerous. The boy looks up, his eyes wide with a primal terror as he sees the next tool of his torment. A tattoo pen hums to life, its high-pitched buzz sounding like a death knell in the quiet, tense room. Needle glints under the fluorescent lights, a tool of permanent humiliation ready to leave its indelible mark. Whispers travel through the room as students desperately try to ignore the impending atrocity. Bully leans in, the vibrating tip of the pen hovering over the victim's exposed skin with sadistic intent. The first contact is made, a sharp sting that signals the start of a nightmare the boy cannot wake up from. Paralyzed by shock, the victim can only stare at the ceiling, praying for the moment to end. His vision blurs, the world narrowing down to the agonizing, vibrating point of the needle. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifts as a shadow falls across the doorway, cutting through the darkness of the room. A figure stands there, his presence alone enough to halt the momentum of the cruelty in an instant. Disbelief washes over the students. They never expected a rescuer to arrive at this moment. The boy sinks further into his shame, unable to meet the eyes of the one person who came to save him. The newcomer surveys the scene, his expression unreadable but his aura radiating a dangerous, focused calm. The bullies try to play it off with forced laughter, attempting to mask the sudden spike in their own fear. They boast about their actions, claiming they lured the newcomer here just to humiliate him alongside his friend. But as the bully leans in close, his threat is clear: if the newcomer interferes, the consequences will be permanent and painful. The young man stares back with a gaze that cuts like a razor, refusing to flinch even as the tension in the room reaches a breaking point. Nearby, the boy is paralyzed by the toxic whispers of the crowd, their accusations of him abandoning his friend echoing louder than any threat. Memories flood back, a chaotic montage of guilt and regret where he once convinced himself he wasn't worthy of being a true friend. His eyes widen as the past resurfaces, the weight of his cowardice threatening to crush his spirit once again. He remembers the playground, a simpler time where the concept of a hero was nothing more than a childish curiosity. His young friend stood there, already embodying the selfless heart of a protector, asking why a hero helps people even when the enemy is stronger. The realization hits the boy like a physical blow. The hero he admired was always right in front of him, bleeding for his sake. Recalls the day his friend stood tall, his small body covered in crude ink, acting as a human shield against the cruelty of the world. The surrounding students could only watch in stunned silence, their mouths agape at the sheer defiance of a boy who refused to break. Disbelief ripples through the crowd as they witness a level of grit that defies logic, making the bullies themselves look small. The boy watches, the words catching in his throat as he finally acknowledges the truth about his companion. With a roar that echoes through the halls of memory, the young friend claims the title he earned with his own blood, friend. He stands his ground, a tiny titan against an army of indifference, his spirit unyielding despite the overwhelming odds. The onlookers are paralyzed, caught between the spectacle of his suffering and the awe of his absolute resolve. Again, he screams his loyalty, a declaration that no amount of physical pain can ever silence his heart. A brutal high kick connects, the impact sending a shockwave through the air as the boy's head snaps back with violent force. The strike is precise and cruel, a critical hit meant to shatter his will, yet the boy's eyes remain fixed on his goal. The boy is horrified, watching the absolute madness of a friend who welcomes the pain if it means protecting another's safety. His friend lunges forward, a desperate counterattack fueled by nothing but pure, raw instinct and the need to fight back. Another heavy blow lands, the bully's boot sinking into his side as he's tossed around like a ragdoll in a storm of violence. He misses his mark, his small fist swinging its shadows, but he refuses to lower his guard for even a single second. The assault is relentless, a barrage of heavy damage that would have leveled any ordinary student, yet he keeps standing. Keeps swinging, a ghost of a punch that carries the weight of his entire soul, proving that his spirit is far stronger than his body. Even the bullies begin to sweat, their confidence wavering as they realize they're fighting someone with an iron will that cannot be broken. Blood drips onto the cold floor, but the boy stands silent, a grim testament to the fact that he doesn't need to make a sound to be heard. He turns back to the boy, his voice a raspy command to stay back, to stay safe, even as his own strength begins to fade. Boy collapses, the crushing weight of his own perceived weakness finally breaking him as he realizes it was all because of him. Tears of shame blur his vision as the memory of that sacrifice burns into his mind, a debt he can never truly repay. In the present, the student with glasses finds himself in the same position, his hands trembling against the floor in total submission. He grips the ground, the cycle of bullying and despair repeating itself as he begs for the nightmare to finally end. Begs for mercy before his tormentor, a pathetic sight that mirrors the very past they are all still trying to escape. The air is thick with the scent of copper and desperation as he stammers out a plea for forgiveness, his face already a map of fresh bruises and broken pride. His companions are no braver, their eyes wide with a primal fear as they realize that the monster standing before them is far from finished with his work. A hand reaches out, not with the intent to harm, but offering a deceptive glimmer of salvation to the wretch trembling on the floor. The victim looks up, a flicker of hope igniting in his eyes, unaware that this hand is merely the prelude to a much darker symphony of pain. The grip tightens instantly, the sound of leather meeting skin signaling that the brief moment of mercy has officially expired. A rapid-fire barrage of strikes erupts, fists blurring into a wall of kinetic energy as they rain down with systematic, bone-crushing precision. Each blow lands with a sickening thud, the victim screams lost in the rhythm of the assault as his world dissolves into a haze of red. The fighter maintains a suffocating chokehold, his expression cold and detached while the thugs watch in paralyzed horror, unable to intervene. Seizes the thug by the hair, forcing him to witness the consequences of his arrogance as the final act of this one-sided slaughter begins. The onslaught continues without a shred of pity, a relentless display of dominance that leaves no room for anything but total submission. The tall young man stares down with eyes like ice, his silence more terrifying than any threat as he demands to know if they find the situation amusing. Blood drips from the face of the student with glasses as his internal rage boils over, his features twisted into a mask of pure, unadulterated hatred. The onlookers realize they've stepped into a nightmare, the realization of the impending chaos causing cold sweat to pour down their necks. Panic spreads like a virus through the room, the thugs realizing that the hierarchy they once knew has been utterly demolished in minutes. Sensing the shift in the tide, one of them bolts for the exit, his only instinct left being to put as much distance as possible between himself and the carnage. The situation is spinning violently out of control, the screams of the fallen echoing through the halls as the power dynamic shifts irrevocably. A sudden, violent impact cuts through the shouting, leaving the remaining thugs frozen in a state of pure, wide-eyed shock. A body is launched through the air, the sheer force of the blow sending them spiraling toward the ground in a blur of motion. He lies broken on the floor, his consciousness fading as the reality of his defeat sinks in, a pathetic end to his brief reign of terror. Survivors can only stare, their minds unable to process the level of violence they've just witnessed as a new player enters the arena. A blond man steps into the light with a casual, almost bored smile, his glasses masking the predatory nature lurking beneath the surface. Flashes of the past return, humiliating memories of being forced into a submissive position, a reminder of the debt that is finally being collected. Student with glasses lets out a chilling laugh, the trauma of his past fueling a newfound, twisted sense of superiority. The tall youth remains stoic, observing the interaction with a calculating gaze as the tension in the room reaches a breaking point. The thugs are caught between two monsters, their bravado completely evaporated as they realize they are no longer the predators in this room. The young man leans in, his presence alone enough to make the air feel heavy, his eyes demanding a level of respect they aren't prepared to give. The student flinches, the shadow of his former self still flickering in his eyes despite the protection of his new ally. The newcomer laughs off the tension, his tone light and mocking as he discusses the financial compensation for his services as if it were a casual business transaction. He points a dismissive finger at the largest thug, demanding an extra fee for the effort it will take to bring down such a massive target. Predatory grin spreads across the newcomer's face, the look of a man who truly enjoys the chaos he is about to unleash. He openly admits to his villainy, his eyes gleaming with a manic intensity that signals the beginning of a bloodbath. The thugs are rooted to the spot, the sheer malice radiating from the blond man making it impossible for them to even consider a counterattack. In a desperate, ill-advised move, one of the thugs lunges forward, his fist swinging wildly in a futile attempt to regain control. The student introduces his associate with a smug sense of finality, knowing that the outcome of this fight was decided the moment the blond man arrived. The thug's face is a blur of shock as he realizes he has made a fatal mistake, the air whistling as a counterstrike is launched with blinding speed. The leg sweeps through the air with the force of a falling timber, a strike so fast it leaves an afterimage in its wake. The kick connects with a thunderous crack, the impact sending the massive thug flying backward as the newcomer proves exactly why he's the most dangerous man in the room. Blood sprays across the air as the heavy-set thug's face crumples under the sheer force of the impact, his consciousness fading before he even hits the ground. The onlookers can only watch in grim satisfaction, while even high schoolers feared this man in his own town. His insatiable greed finally led him to a predator he couldn't outrun. The atmosphere in the room thickens with tension as the aggressor prepares for the next move, unaware that the gap in their power is an absolute abyss. Daniel Park drives a brutal kick into the man's midsection, the sound of the impact echoing like a gunshot through the silent hallway. Thug's eyes roll back, his mouth agape in a silent scream of agony as the air is forced out of his lungs in a single, violent burst. With a chillingly calm demeanor, Daniel Park reassures his victim with a terrifying smile, promising not to break any bones just so he can avoid the hassle of an arrest. Behind his glasses, his eyes burn with cold intensity. He truly wants to beat them to a pulp, but the consequences of going too far hold him back. Scene shifts abruptly as a hand slams onto a desk, startling students nearby as a new conflict erupts in the middle of the classroom. The student with glasses pulls out a box cutter, the metallic slide clicking into place as his face twists into a mask of desperate bravado. He sneers at the crowd, demanding to know if they find him amusing, while the terrified screams of the girls fill the background. Daniel Park stares him down, unimpressed by the sudden display of cowardice disguised as aggression. He casually notes the presence of the weapon, mockingly suggesting that the fee for his services is about to skyrocket. The student with glasses begins to panic, realizing that his family's wealth is a useless shield against the cold steel of a knife and the man standing before him. Daniel Park runs a hand through his hair, his internal monologue frustrated by the restraint he must maintain to avoid another run-in with the law. Student catches a glimpse of his own reflection, the sight of his ugly tattoos serving as a pathetic reminder of the person he's trying so hard to be. Driven by a mix of fear and ego, the student dual wields his blades, his hands trembling as he prepares to cross a line he can't come back from. Daniel Park observes the situation with clinical detachment, noting the weapon and the presence of a potential victim in his mental tactical map. Predatory smirk slowly spreads across his face. It's been far too long since he's allowed himself to truly enjoy a fight. The sheer pressure of Daniel's gaze is suffocating, forcing the student to realize that he hasn't just met a fighter, he's met a monster. In this moment, the hierarchy is rewritten. The crazy guy has finally met someone much crazier, and the bad guy has met someone infinitely worse. The desperate roar, the student lunges forward, demanding that Daniel lower his eyes as he swings the blade with murderous intent. Daniel Park stands motionless, his posture exuding a terrifying level of confidence that chills everyone in the room to the bone. The student charges again, his movements frantic and uncoordinated, the sound of his breathing heavy with the scent of impending defeat. His mind is a chaotic loop of a single, violent thought: stab him, I have to stab him, I'll really do it. Daniel Park looks on with pity, feeling insulted that such a weakling would dare to belittle him in front of his peers. In a blur of motion, Daniel Park seizes a classroom chair, swinging it with the precision of a master to intercept the attack. The chair connects with a sickening thud, sending the student flying backward as blood droplets paint a crimson arc across the floor. Classroom falls into a deathly silence, the spectators frozen in shock as they witness the absolute dominance of the man they once underestimated. Daniel Park stands over his fallen foe, the chair held high like a weapon of judgment, his expression unreadable. The student collapses, clutching his face as he realizes a tooth has been shattered, the reality of his situation finally sinking in. Daniel Park doesn't stop there, delivering a final, crushing strike that echoes the finality of the student's ruined reputation. He looks down at the blood-stained floor, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper as he asks if this was the hand that tried to end him. With a final, thunderous crunch, he stomps his heel down onto the attacker's hand, ensuring that the student will never be able to hold a knife again. Gut-wrenching scream fills the air as a victim's face contorts in sheer agony, blood erupting from the force of a brutal impact. A chilling grin spreads across the face of the blonde aggressor as he continues to stomp down, boasting that he has shattered all of the victim's fingers. He asks if his target truly understands the nature of their encounter. The aggressor's smile widens into a grotesque, sadistic rictus. He declares he has no specific reason for his brutality, implying an inherent enjoyment in inflicting pain. The victim lies crumpled and terrified. The aggressor looks down, his words echoing a dark philosophy. Don't you get it? We're the same kind of people. You didn't beat them because you had a reason. You just made up a reason so you could beat them. Two teachers stumble upon the horrific scene, their faces frozen in shock. They cry out, demanding to know what is happening as they witness the sudden eruption of violence. A close-up reveals the sheer terror etched onto the teachers' faces, their eyes wide and hollow, unable to comprehend the brutality before them. Amidst the carnage, the aggressor offers a casual hello to the stunned teachers. Around him, students and faculty lie sprawled and groaning in a classroom transformed into a scene of devastation. One of the teachers lies battered, blood trickling from his mouth, a testament to the sheer force of the aggressor's assault. Another teacher curls into a fetal position, attempting to shield himself while whimpering in pain and fear. The brutality has completely broken their spirits. The scene is hellish. While some panicked voices urge calling the police, others, fearing a scandal, desperately suggest moving the matter to the teacher's office to keep it quiet. The defeated teacher remains huddled on the floor, his body trembling with evident pain and humiliation. Frantic whispers focus on avoiding a noisy situation. The school's reputation is clearly the primary concern, even amidst the visible violence. Later, outside the principal's office, the aggressor casually mentions that the student he beat was his cousin and notes that he himself is currently repeating a grade. Inside the office, the aggressor lounges comfortably, mocking the terrified teachers as they recount his assault. He laughs at the mention of broken bones, calling them suckers. Threatened with reform school, the aggressor merely chuckles, admitting he's been there before. His nonchalant attitude hints at a deep history of unpunished violence. The scene reveals other students, equally battered and bruised, emphasizing the widespread nature of the aggressor's rampage within the school. The aggressor turns the tables, warning the teachers that if he is reported, he will ensure they face consequences as well, guaranteeing their complicity. twists the narrative, claiming he acted in self-defense against a knife attack and threatening to expose the school's negligence to the press. A teacher with glasses sweats profusely, trapped by the manipulation. With a deliberate movement, the aggressor places a cup on the table, a subtle yet powerful gesture of dominance over the situation. With a menacing smile, he presents an ultimatum: either they all face a scandal and the closure of the institution, or he simply goes home quietly. Defeated and broken, the teachers finally concede to his demands, their despair evident as they resign themselves to the aggressor's manipulation. Under a clear sky, the aggressor walks away, demanding his illicit payment be deposited today. His casual demeanor belies the severe extortion he just committed. The scene shifts to Daniel Park. An off-panel voice declares he is leaving and will spare Daniel for his cooperation. Narration reveals that Unte Vasco has previously resolved similar conflicts by arranging school transfers. Daniel looks up at the sky with newfound determination, asking Vasco how he can achieve strength comparable to his. Vasco lays out a grueling daily regimen: 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10 kilometers run every day. Daniel silently commits to the routine, determined to transform himself. Daniel reacts with a slight flinch, overwhelmed by the intensity of the proposed training, yet his resolve remains unshaken. In a moment of vulnerability, Daniel shivers, reflecting on the daunting challenge ahead and the past experiences fueling his desire for strength. A flashback begins, focusing on a young student with glasses. He appears anxious, haunted by a deep-seated fear of needles. In the flashback, the student smiles warmly at a young bum Jay, asking if he still likes birds. Young bum Jay leans in conspiratorially, revealing a secret with a mischievous grin. With a flourish, bum Jay pulls open his shirt, proudly displaying a vibrant bluebird tattoo on his chest. The student with glasses reacts with wide-eyed surprise and admiration, clearly impressed by the display. Admiring the tattoo, the student exclaims how cool it is, prompting bum Jay to eagerly suggest they get matching ones. Unte Vasco trembles, his face pale as he tries to maintain a facade of bravado while the needle prepares to bite into his skin. Bum Jay watches in silence, his large ears twitching as he gauges his friend's genuine terror behind the forced words. The result is a permanent mark of rebellion, a swallow and a crude message etched into Vasco's chest, symbolizing their pact. Despite the visible sweat, Vasco forces a laugh and claims he felt absolutely nothing, though his body betrays him. The scene shifts to a professional studio where Lee Hyun-sung, a seasoned tattooist, stares down at the young boy with utter disbelief. Lee Hyun-sung can hardly believe his ears. A middle schooler is asking for a complex cover-up to hide a friend's painful past. Tattooist explodes in anger, questioning why a child would involve himself in the world of permanent ink and gangsters. Bum Jay drops to his knees, his voice cracking as he explains that someone he cares about is suffering because of his own mistakes. He begs Lee Hyun-sung to use his own body for practice, willing to endure any pain if it means he can eventually save his friend's dignity. Hours pass in the biting cold, and Bum Jay remains outside, shivering violently as the snow begins to settle on his bare skin. His teeth chatter and his breath hitches, but his resolve is a fortress that the winter cannot reach. Lee Hyun-sung steps out into the night and finds the boy still there, a frozen monument of loyalty. The tattooist realizes he is about to risk his career for this kid, but the fire in Bum Jay's eyes makes it impossible to say no. In the present, Bum Jay recalls the agony of the needle, remembering how he masked his fear to keep their momentum going. A genuine, soft smile touches his lips as he reflects on the brotherhood that was forged through blood and ink. To him, Vasco isn't just a leader, he's living proof that some bonds are worth every scar. 3 years have passed since those days of desperation, and the journey of self-improvement has been nothing short of legendary. Suddenly, a voice breaks his reverie as Daniel Park, original body, leans in close, his round face full of concern. Daniel Park was worried that Bum Jay had frozen in place, standing like a statue in the middle of the park. Bum Jay looks toward the training area and asks where Vasco is gone, only to find he hasn't moved an inch. The leader of the Burn Knuckles is still grinding, his body suspended on the parallel bars in a display of pure, unadulterated strength. The morning silence is shattered by the aggressive, high-pitched whine of motorcycle engines tearing through the park. Bum Jay's expression hardens instantly, his gaze cutting through the air to identify the intruders. A trio of bikes roars over the horizon, carrying a group of flashy delinquents who show no respect for the peace of the morning. They ride with a smug arrogance, their laughter barely audible over the mechanical scream of their exhausts. Bum Jay recognizes them immediately. They are the same lowlives who used to haunt the streets years ago. A monochrome memory flashes back. These thugs were once the apex predators of their small, cruel world. The thugs are now seen in a boxy delivery truck, bragging about their gambling wins and the expensive rings they've acquired. Sit in a circle, the air thick with cigarette smoke and the stench of unearned confidence. Sung Pyo, one of the more observant thugs, suddenly falls silent as he notices something unusual in the distance. His eyes land on Vasco, who continues his relentless workout, oblivious to the eyes of the bottom feeders. Tattoos on Vasco's back ripple with every dip, a moving tapestry of iron-willed discipline. Every muscle fiber in his arm is pushed to the breaking point, the ink stretching over a physique built through years of pain. His breathing is heavy and controlled, each exhale a testament to the focus that has made him a force of nature. The thugs are perplexed, wondering why a man who looks like a high-level gangster is doing such a hardcore workout in public. Then, their eyes shift to Bum Jay. Recognition hits them like a physical blow. It's the kid with the big ears from their past. The thugs stare as the weight of the past crashes down on them. This isn't just some random kid, it's the boy with the big ears they used to torment, but the air around him has completely changed. One of the thugs whispers a plan to snatch him, but his leader quickly shuts him down. They need to be surgical, no noise, no attention, especially not from the real gangsters nearby. Suddenly, a tall, tattooed figure looms over Bum J. The thugs' hearts skip a beat. This wasn't part of the plan. The realization hits them like a physical blow. Bum J isn't a loner anymore. He's connected to someone who looks like a walking nightmare. Bum J casually suggests heading to the restroom, completely ignoring the predators circling him as if they were nothing more than dust. The thugs watch in stunned silence. The dynamic has shifted, and they are the ones feeling like prey. The dismissive gesture, Bum J tells them to get lost. It is a silent declaration of war, delivered with absolute coldness. They watch him walk away, fuming. The disrespect is a bitter pill to swallow, and the white-haired thug is already looking for a way to lash out. Nearby, Daniel Park sits alone, his eyes wide as he witnesses the exchange. He feels the crushing weight of his own isolation. He watches them leave together, a pang of envy twisting in his chest. In a world this cruel, having someone at your back is the ultimate luxury. His self-pity is cut short by a shadow. The thugs have found a new target to vent their frustrations on. They surround him, their presence suffocating. The white-haired thug sneers, ordering Daniel Park to get up and follow them. Terrified and confused, Daniel Park can only stare as they lead him away into the darkness behind the buildings. They reach a secluded spot, the perfect place for a quiet execution of pride. The atmosphere is thick with malice. The thugs mock him, laughing at his trembling form. To them, Daniel Park is just a victim meant to be stepped on. White-haired thug spits out his disdain. He is still fixated on Bum J and plans to use Daniel to get to him. Daniel Park stammers, his voice barely a whisper. He tries to understand why they are so obsessed with a past they should have outgrown. Just as the first blow is about to land, a familiar voice cuts through the air. A shadow emerges from the alleyway. It's Bum J. He stands there unfazed by the numbers against him and calls out to Daniel, telling him to come over. Thugs are caught off guard for a split second before their faces twist into predatory grins. The prize has walked right into their hands. Bum J looks them in the eye, his gaze steady. He notes that they haven't changed a bit, still the same pathetic bullies from years ago. The gang laughs, mocking his bravery. They think he is an idiot for showing up alone without his tattooed bodyguard. Bum J confirms he is by himself, his voice cold and flat. He doesn't need anyone else to handle trash like them. The thugs can't contain their joy. They think this will be an easy win, a chance to finally settle the score with the kid who dared to ignore them. The girls in the back giggle, finding the whole situation amusing. They have no idea of the storm that is about to break. White-haired thug pulls out a switchblade, the metallic click echoing with lethal intent. He gestures to the scar on his cheek. He promises to give Bum J a matching set of marks, his eyes burning with a sadistic hunger. Bum J doesn't move. He simply tells them to leave while they still have their health. It isn't a plea, it's a final warning. The thugs lose their patience and charge. They are done talking, they want blood. White-haired thug lunges with the knife, his face twisted in a murderous snarl. He expects a scream, but finds only empty air. Bum J's movement is a blur of efficiency. He sidesteps the blade with inches to spare, his eyes locked on his target. Bum J launches a counterstrike that carries the weight of years of repressed anger. Strike connects squarely with the white-haired thug's jaw, a sickening crunch echoing through the alley. Blood sprays as the thug is sent reeling. The sheer force of the blow is absolute, shattering more than just his pride. Daniel Park watches in awe. He has never seen anything like it, the raw, disciplined power of a true fighter. Rest of the gang lies broken on the ground. Bum J stands over them, his breathing steady. He tells them his personal feelings end here, but their luck has officially run out. The young man stands firm, his voice resolute as he finishes his declaration. His face contorts with fierce determination, adding that his friend would never condone such leniency. Boy watches, a wave of admiration washing over him, impressed by such unwavering loyalty. Witnessing the profound bond, a friend expresses a touch of envy for their true friendship before urging the other to move on. A deeper question lingers in the air regarding what forged their unbreakable connection. The scene shifts abruptly, plunging into a memory from 2 years ago, revealing a room adorned with countless framed pictures. A younger man, his body already covered in tattoos, gazes at the newly covered wall as a voice confirms the task is complete. Voice remarks on the year of struggle it took to cover the marks, acknowledging the difficulty of the process. A friend congratulates the man, noticing his transformed physique. The man grins, admitting to his intense daily training. The tattoo artist observes the man with a knowing smile, recognizing the profound depth of the friendship. Blonde-haired man with glasses greets a visitor with surprise, noting the visitor's reputation from the youth detention center. The man's expression sours as he questions the visitor's purpose, his voice turning menacing. A man in a trench coat and scarf stands silently, his presence commanding attention. With a stern gaze, the man in the trench coat clarifies his purpose, stating he has been ordered to conduct a test. As the sky overhead seems to beckon, the narrator reveals that the stories of other individuals were also beginning to unfold across the city. An unspoken invitation hangs in the air. A desolate street corner stands witness as new narratives are poised to begin. A boy strains while attempting to lift a massive object, his grunts punctuated by mocking sounds. He tells himself to persevere through the struggle. A man crouches with a cigarette, questioning a companion about a cicada. Laughter and chirping sounds fill the air. Student with glasses grins unsettlingly, boasting about his connections while chirps and gasps punctuate the air. The vast empty sky stretches above, a canvas awaiting new narratives. One boy turns to the other, posing a question. He gestures to the fresh tattoo on his friend's arm and inquires about the meaning of the hero depicted. Ponders the identity of the hero aloud, questioning the name. A masked hero is revealed as the identity of the figure is explained. The boy expresses surprise at the revelation. He then delivers a heartfelt statement to his friend, declaring him his true hero. Friend beams, echoing the sentiment. The scene shifts to the man walking confidently into the distance, his silhouette framed by the setting sun. A beautiful Labrador retriever is admired for being a purebred. Admiration turns to scorn as a different dog is observed and criticized for being a mongrel. The Labrador looks on while a child expresses a desire to raise the other dog. The smaller dog internally resolves to grow up and become beautiful like its mother. A young girl cradles the dog affectionately, declaring she will care for him, while an adult concedes to her wishes. Young girl, her face beaming with pure joy, declares her unwavering love for the small dog and promises they will live together forever. The dog, now grown, sits proudly beside his mother, an internal thought confirming he is a crossbreed, yet he feels content in his family. His mother, a purebred, remains serene and quiet, a stark contrast to the dog's lively spirit. The dog, full of boundless energy, wags his tail excitedly, eager for adventures with his beloved master and mother. Human voice playfully questions if the dog is a mongrel, but the dog's only thought is his deep affection for his master. Another human voice confirms the observation as the dog's internal monologue hails his master as the best in the world. A hand points decisively, a voice uttering a sharp wait as a memory or realization surfaces, hinting at a shift in the narrative. Dog sits patiently, his tail wagging with anticipation as he overhears a conversation about being left behind. He innocently believes his master will return with delicious food when the sky darkens. The dog's hopeful eyes remain fixed, his thoughts echoing his unwavering patience as he waits for his master's return, unaware of the impending betrayal. A moving truck, fully loaded, pulls away, a voice declaring, "We've packed everything, let's go." The finality of departure hangs heavy in the air. Figure with an obscured face instructs that the parents are moving to organize things and the dog should get in the next car. A gloved hand extends, a single word, "wait," cutting through the scene, hinting at a change of plans or a sudden, cruel decision. The dog, still cheerfully oblivious, declares to his mother that he's good at waiting, completely unaware of the impending abandonment. Confined within a car, the dog's happy demeanor shatters, replaced by confusion and distress as he cries out, sensing something is terribly wrong. Days later, the dog is a desolate, emaciated figure, abandoned in the dark. His internal thoughts are a heartbreaking lament, questioning how his family could forsake him and only take his purebred mother. The dog, gaunt and alone, shivers in the cold. He still clings to the hope that his owners will arrive soon, unaware of the grim reality of his abandonment. Hand cautiously offers food to the snarling, aggressive dog who barks fiercely, his trust shattered. A voice warns against reporting the abandonment, fearing retribution. The dog, a fierce protector of his empty home, snarls aggressively, vowing to guard it until his master's return, his fear masked by desperate loyalty. Wrapped in a scarf, the dog shivers in the cold, the familiar scent a painful reminder. He notes the sky has turned black again, another night of lonely waiting. The image of his joyful master flashes in the dog's mind, a poignant wish to see her and be embraced by her warmth. This concludes the tragic flashback, setting a somber tone. The classroom buzzes with excitement as a male teacher announces the arrival of a transfer student, sparking eager questions from the students about their gender. The teacher confirms it's a girl, and 3 male students erupt in boisterous cheers, their enthusiasm palpable, anticipating an attractive newcomer. The new transfer student steps into the classroom. She introduces herself with a polite hello, her appearance eliciting a silent, shocked question mark from the observing students, their expectations clearly unmet. Earlier cheering male students now sit in stunned silence, their expressions morphing from excitement to quiet disappointment, a clear judgment passing across their faces. A male student observes the transfer student with a mix of surprise and a strange sense of familiarity, pondering why she's joined their department so close to the winter holidays. The classroom remains eerily quiet, the space around the transfer student feeling vast and isolating, the silence amplifying the unspoken judgments. Transfer student's face contorts in distress as she overhears mocking whispers about her size, her expression reflecting deep hurt and the sting of familiar cruelty. The transfer student's eyes well up, her internal monologue revealing a painful truth. She is accustomed to this cruel reception every time she transfers schools, a defense mechanism built from repeated trauma. Elsewhere, 3 attractive female students discuss the power dynamics within the school, noting the new transfer student and wondering about social connections, already strategizing their positions. Transfer student stands awkwardly as 2 other girls approach her, offering compliments about her eyes, though her internal thought suggests such niceties are often overlooked in the grand scheme of her social struggles. A male student stands amongst other students, feeling like an invisible outsider, observing the social scene and the group that holds power, lamenting how he is usually ignored. The student's eyes widen in sudden surprise, a gasp escaping him as he notices something unexpected, drawing his full attention. The student stares intently, his expression one of continued surprise as the transfer student's introduction echoes in his mind, suggesting a deeper connection or realization. The atmosphere in the classroom turns toxic as the bullies snicker, their words dripping with a malice that the transfer student knows all too well. She remains silent, the weight of being treated like a spectacle for others' amusement heavy on her shoulders. Daniel Park watches the scene unfold, his eyes wide with a mixture of shock and a growing cold fury. Memories of his own past resurface, the cruel smiles of those who find joy in the suffering of the weak. The ultimate humiliation captured on a phone screen to be replayed and mocked, a cycle of pain he knows too intimately. His gaze hardens. Daniel Park isn't just watching anymore. He recognizes the same darkness he once faced. The transfer student flinches, expecting the usual barrage of insults to continue, her breath hitching in anticipation. Instead, Daniel Park leans in with a warm, disarming smile, introducing himself with a kindness that feels alien in this room. The bullies are paralyzed. Their target has just been claimed by the most popular guy in school, and they don't know how to react. In a casual tone, Daniel Park mentions that they live in the same neighborhood, bridging the gap between them instantly. He offers his friendship openly, a gesture that sends a shockwave through the social hierarchy of the classroom. She can only stare, her mind racing. Why would someone like him, someone with everything, reach out to her? Whispers start immediately. Daniel Park has the power to change the atmosphere with just a few words. But the transfer student is wary. She fears that showing any emotion will only give the bullies more ammunition to use against her. Suddenly, Zach interjects, his voice uncharacteristically level as he tells the others to stop their childish behavior. His hands are still heavily bandaged, a physical reminder of the battles he's fought and the lessons he's beginning to learn. The other students are baffled. Zach, who was once the primary enforcer of schoolyard rules, is now acting as a shield. As the day ends, the transfer student walks alone, the golden hue of the sunset doing little to brighten her internal gloom. She resolves to live like a ghost, just another face in the crowd until graduation finally sets her free. A notification pings on her phone, a message from an online teacher praising her grades. It's the only validation she feels she has. A sharp bar cuts through her thoughts. In a nearby alley, a stray dog is cornered by a group of thugs looking for trouble. One of the thugs kicks out, his boot connecting with a sickening thud. The dog yelps in pain but refuses to back down. The animal is malnourished and terrified, yet it guards its small patch of territory with desperate, heartbreaking loyalty. The thugs laugh, finding the dog's resistance amusing. They represent the worst of humanity, preying on those who cannot fight back. They mock the creature's struggle, their cruelty escalating as they realize the dog won't run away. A cigarette is flicked, its glowing ember a tiny beacon of impending pain. The lead thug decides to teach the dog a lesson. The dog growls, sensing the danger, its eyes fixed on the burning tip as it trembles with fear. He moves the cigarette closer to the dog's sensitive nose, a sadistic grin spreading across his face. Suddenly, a hand reaches out, stopping the thug's arm mid-air with surprising strength. It's the transfer student. She stands between the thugs and the dog, her arms outstretched in a defiant shield. She screams at them to stop, her voice cracking with a courage she didn't know she possessed. The thugs pause, recognizing her from school. The girl they once mocked is now the only thing standing in their way. The lead thug sneers, his eyes hidden behind dark lenses as he looks down on the girl with pure contempt. To him, she isn't even human, just a nuisance that smells like the bottom of the social ladder. Despite her trembling legs, the girl refuses to move, shielding the injured dog behind her. The thugs cackle, their insults cutting deeper than any physical blow, mocking her appearance while the defenseless animal whimpers in the shadows. The cruelty escalates as they compare her to the school's outcasts, claiming they have the right to strike anyone they deem ugly. The girl's heart sinks, she's spent her life being ignored or hated simply for existing, and today feels no different. But the atmosphere shifts instantly as a new figure steps into the alley. A handsome student stands tall, his presence radiating a calm authority that halts the thug's laughter mid-breath. The girl looks up, her eyes widening in disbelief. She recognizes him, everyone does. He's at the top of the school's social hierarchy, a boy who seems to live in a completely different world from hers. The handsome student asks with a cold, level voice if they have business with his classmate. The thug's bravado vanishes, replaced by a stuttering fear as they realize who they've just crossed. For a moment, time seems to stand still. The girl can only stare, her mind racing as she tries to process why someone like him would ever intervene on her behalf. With a gentle but firm gesture, the handsome student tells her to come to him, effectively pulling her out of the line of fire and under his protection. The reality of school life isn't always filled with heroic rescues. On a typical day, the girl is treated like a pack mule, struggling under the weight of heavy stacks of paper while her peers walk by without a second glance. Nearby, a student walks with a girl, dismissing the idea of helping. He uses his bandaged arms as an excuse, claiming his hidden powers are sealed, a display of his arrogant and detached persona. The whispers follow the girl like a shadow. The other students snicker, calling her names and mocking the effort it takes for her to simply perform a task for the class. Fatigue and the uneven floor finally take their toll. Her foot slips, and the world begins to tilt as she loses her balance, the heavy papers flying from her grip. She braces for the impact, a silent scream caught in her throat. Falling in front of everyone is her ultimate nightmare, a moment of vulnerability that the bullies will feast on for weeks. Suddenly, a foot shoots out with lightning speed. The boy with the bandages catches her mid-air, preventing a disastrous fall with a display of balance and reflexes that leaves the hallway stunned. The boy grumbles, telling her not to think too much of it. He gestures to his injured hands, maintaining his tough guy act even after performing a genuine act of kindness. The handsome student watches from a distance, his expression unreadable as he observes the scene. The social dynamics of the school are shifting, and he's at the center of it all. Without a word, the handsome student steps forward and takes the heavy load from the girl's arms. His ease and willingness to help an outcast send ripples of shock through the watching crowd. A petty argument breaks out between the two popular boys. One claims he's the one who saved her, while the other simply offers to carry the load, leaving the girl caught in the middle of their bizarre rivalry. The handsome student turns to her with a dazzling smile, asking if she made it home safely the day before. His politeness feels almost alien in an environment built on cruelty. The girl remains silent, her gaze wary. She's learned the hard way that when someone this popular is nice to you, there's usually a catch or a crowd of people ready to tear you down for it. She bluntly tells him that while she appreciates the intent, his kindness only makes her life harder. The student is left blinking in confusion, unable to fathom why a good deed would have such a negative impact. Three of them stand in the hallway, a strange tableau that draws the eyes of every passing student. The tension is thick, fueled by jealousy and confusion from the onlookers. The popular girls watch with narrowed eyes, their silence more predatory than any shout. They can't understand why the school's most popular boys are wasting their time on her. The vitriol begins to flow. They accuse the girl of seeking attention, turning her into the villain simply because she was the recipient of unasked for help. Her eyes burn with a cold, judgmental fire. To them, social status is everything, and she has committed the ultimate sin, stepping out of her place. Back in the classroom, the harassment takes a more tangible form. The air is heavy with the unspoken threats of students who feel empowered by their collective cruelty. The girl opens her textbook to find it defaced with hateful slurs. Insults are scrawled across the pages in bold ink, a permanent reminder of how her classmates see her. Bullies hover nearby, their faces twisted into mocking grins. They make cruel comments about her, laughing at their own behavior while she sits in a forced, agonizing silence. Their laughter echoes in her ears, a constant background noise to her education. Every giggle is a reminder that she is an outsider, a target for whenever they feel bored. An eraser is flicked at her, bouncing off her head as the snickering continues. The girl clenches her jaw, wishing she had stayed out of the spotlight, knowing that the boy's kindness was the spark for this new wave of torment. Even when walking in a group, the distance is clear. The other girls laugh and talk amongst themselves while she follows behind, a ghost in their presence, ignored until they need a punchline. She looks down at her shoes, always one step behind the rest of the world. In this school, the beautiful lead the way, and everyone else is just trying to survive the path they leave behind. The path they leave behind leads straight to a tray of cold, unappealing school rations. For those at the bottom, even a meal is a reminder of their place in the food chain. The laughter is sharp, cutting through the cafeteria air like a serrated blade. They mock her every move, turning a simple lunch into a public execution of her dignity. She chews in a suffocating silence, surrounded by voices that refuse to acknowledge her existence. In this crowded room, she has never felt more alone. A shadow looms over her, accompanied by a voice dripping with artificial sweetness. It's a performance of kindness, staged purely for the benefit of an audience. A piece of fish is dropped onto her tray. It isn't a gift, it's a scrap thrown to an animal, a gesture meant to highlight the gap between the giver and the receiver. The trap is set. If she eats, she's the glutton they claim she is. If she refuses, she's the ungrateful wretch they want her to be. There is no winning in their game. Nearby, the school's brutal hierarchy claims another victim. A fist connects with a dull thud, a rhythmic reminder that strength is the only currency that matters here. The bully's face contorts with a sick sense of entitlement. He doesn't just want to hurt his target, he wants to ensure everyone is watching his display of power. Away from the teacher's eyes, the masks of the beautiful elite finally slip. Their smiles vanish, replaced by the cold, calculating sneers of predators. Their eyes burn with a chilling elitism. To them, anyone who doesn't fit their narrow definition of perfection is nothing more than a stain on their pristine world. Even in the supposed sanctuary of the shadows, the whispers find her. There is no corner of this school where the judgment doesn't reach. Outside the school walls, the world remains just as unforgiving. A stray dog barks at the empty air, a desperate soul guarding a kingdom of dirt and debris. She crouches down, finding a strange comfort in the animal's aggression. They are both outcasts, both fighting for a space that the world refuses to give them. The dog isn't just hungry, she's carrying life, a heavy burden in a place that offers nothing but cold pavement and empty promises. The creature lashes out, teeth bared in a primal defense. It has learned the hard way that a reaching hand usually brings pain, not peace. A sharp snap echoes through the alley. The dog bites the hand that tries to help, unable to distinguish a genuine offer from another cruel trick. She leaves behind a small offering, a tin of food and a silent hope. It's a meager defense against the hunger, but it's all she has to give. Sudden presence shifts the very air. A young man stands there, his silhouette cutting through the fading light like a beacon. He looks down, his sharp features softened by an expression that isn't the mockery she expected. It's something far more dangerous, genuine concern. He's not empty-handed. He has come prepared, carrying supplies that suggest he's been thinking about this stray long before now. Girl freezes. In her world, people like him don't cross paths with people like her unless it's to step over them. This interaction feels like a glitch in reality. He doesn't look away. He doesn't see a social pariah. He sees a shared responsibility, a connection she isn't ready to acknowledge. The sky turns a bruised gold as the sun dips lower. The beauty of the moment only serves to highlight the ugliness of the situation they are both trapped in. Lays out the food and water with a quiet efficiency. It's a level of care that feels alien, almost offensive in its sincerity. Even as the dog bites him, he remains unnervingly calm. He understands that the teeth are just a shield for a broken heart.
he doesn't flinch.
His patience is a weapon of its own, slowly wearing down the animal's fear through sheer, unwavering presence. She watches him, her mind a whirlwind of confusion.
Why is he doing this? Why is he making it so hard for her to maintain her distance?
She remembers his previous warnings, his attempts to reach out. "Don't be nice to me," she had pleaded, knowing that kindness from him would only make the shadows darker. He offers a small, tentative smile. It's an invitation to trust, a bridge offered across a chasm that feels impossible to cross. But the walls she's built are reinforced with years of pain. She turns away, choosing the safety of her isolation over the terrifying light of his pity. Even as she retreats, her spirit remains unbroken, mirroring the ferocity of a stray cornered by the world. She doesn't need a savior, she's been fighting her own battles long before he arrived. She flashes a smile that doesn't reach her eyes, a silent declaration that her perceived weakness is merely a mask. Beneath the surface, a steel resolve is hardening. The man stands frozen, the weight of her words hitting him harder than any physical blow.
He realizes that pity is the last thing a warrior like her wants. Shock ripples through him.
He's used to being the center of attention, the one people lean on, but she has just shattered that dynamic entirely.
The distance between them feels like a canyon.
One stands in the light of perfection, the other in the shadow of self-imposed exile, yet the power dynamic has shifted. As the sun dips below the horizon, the golden hour bathes the wealthy district in a deceptive glow, hiding the secrets buried within these high-walled estates. Inside, the silence of a luxury penthouse is deafening.
It's a world of clinical perfection, far removed from the chaotic hallways of their high school.
Steam rises in the modern bathroom, a sanctuary where the day's grime and the day's lies are washed away in equal measure.
Discarded clothes and non-prescription glasses tell a story of a deliberate disguise.
She chose to be an outcast, crafting a shield out of plainness to escape the world's gaze. She thinks of the man and the effortless way he commands the room. To her, he is the ultimate personification of the superficiality she loathes.
But his presence has complicated everything.
Her carefully constructed life of invisibility is being threatened by his unwanted curiosity. As the towel drops, the outcast vanishes. In her place stands a woman of striking beauty, a secret weapon hidden in plain sight, questioning why she was assigned to watch him. Mental toll of maintaining two lives is exhausting. To the world, she's special, but to herself, she's just a tired soul caught in a complex game of shadows. Missed calls flash on her screen, a mountain of digital desperation from men who only see the surface. To her, they are all predictable, driven by the same shallow desires. She reaches for her armor. Not glasses this time, but a sharp, pinstriped suit that signals power and authority.
Transformation is complete. The schoolgirl is gone, replaced by a high-level operative ready to step into the cutthroat world of corporate and underworld politics. With a cold, professional gaze, she prepares to head out. It's time to stop observing and start executing the mission.
The night air is crisp in the courtyard as she makes her way toward the gate, where the real world and its dangers await her. Waiting by a sleek, black sedan is a man in a crimson coat, his presence a silent reminder of the high stakes they play for. He's impatient, complaining about the trek up the mountain. In this world, time is money, and delays are a luxury they can ill afford. She approaches with an apology, noting that even she can't always control the rhythm of her dual existence. Her superior is waiting, and his patience has limits.
A brief moment of friction passes between them.
She's been sleeping for a long period, a side effect of her unique condition that she's forced to manage. She quips back, her exhaustion showing through her professional veneer. In this high-stakes game, she is far more than a witness, she's a player who might just take the throne herself. The urban landscape blurs past in a frantic rush, mirroring the internal turmoil of a world where beauty is both a weapon and a vulnerability. Within the suffocating opulence of a high-stakes meeting, a powerful congressman and his associates shower a woman with insincere compliments, their words dripping with thinly veiled intentions. Woman, her long dark hair cascading, sits impassively while enduring the hollow flattery.
The weight of the men's predatory gaze is palpable, yet she remains unyielding.
A representative from a prestigious law firm extends his business card while another attendee openly praises the woman's beauty, their intentions clear and unsettling. The name on the card confirms the immense pressure she is under, acting as a pawn in a larger corporate game. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, betray her true feelings. She sees through their superficiality, her mind already strategizing her next move. As the oppressive meeting concludes, a desperate request for her contact number hangs in the air, a stark reminder of the objectification she faces. The narrator reflects on the sinister implications of beauty in this world. Safely within her car, the woman dismisses the advances of a corporation's eldest son, her disinterest absolute, while an elderly man drives. Gaze drifts to the passing city lights as a profound weariness settles over her. She acknowledges that for these men, her true self remains invisible, only her appearance matters. Stepping out into the cool night, she walks with purpose, leaving the gilded cage of corporate flattery behind.
The facade cracks, revealing her exhaustion.
She mentally recounts her meager calorie intake and the grueling workout awaiting her, all before she must face school again. The young man stands alone, his thoughts consumed by the person forcing him into a hellish routine, questioning his father's connection to such a figure.
He reflects on his father's past, wondering if he was involved with menacing, sunglass-clad men, and considers the geniuses his father supposedly educated. Concern for a dog prompts the woman to make a detour.
Her thoughts condemn men who only pursue pretty girls, a sentiment immediately interrupted by the sound of barking. A wave of dread washes over her as she recognizes the familiar faces of thugs, fearing they are once again tormenting the animal. With a surge of protective fury, she sprints forward as the barks grow more frantic. Her eyes snap open wide as a sudden, stark realization dawns upon her. She finds a boy crouched beside the dog, which is barking agitatedly. The scene is far from the cruelty she had imagined. Boy stares in disbelief, recognizing the beautiful woman from the convenience store. His mind races, trying to reconcile her presence with his current situation. A genuine smile graces her face as she observes the boy's kindness towards the dog, confirming her initial impression of him. She greets him and asks about the animal, and he affirms they've met before. Under the glow of streetlights, a casual conversation reveals they are the same age, much to her surprise and his polite, albeit flustered, reaction. Boy's thoughtful nature is highlighted as he provides both food and water, lamenting that he couldn't offer the dog more than just raw food. He gently informs her that the dog is pregnant, expressing concern for her health and need for nourishment. The dog, meanwhile, seems to be warning them away from her home. Her gaze softens with worry as she observes the dog's emaciated state, a silent concern for the pregnant animal's well-being. As the boy tries to coax the dog to eat, the woman silently acknowledges his genuine kindness, a rare quality she encounters in her world. A flashback reveals her first encounter with the boy, not as a part-timer, but as a dedicated individual pushing his limits through intense exercise. Stunned by the sudden invitation, Daniel can barely process the words as she asks if he wants to train with her. Crystal lets out a cheerful laugh, admitting that exercise has been her greatest ally and she's grown to love the grind. She dismisses any dark suspicions of pyramid schemes or organ harvesting with a smile, claiming she's practically a pro at dieting by now. Looking at her, Daniel realizes that this is the exact same feeling he had when he first met her. Remembers the urge his other self felt, the desperate desire to reach out and help her through the hardships of school. But looking at her now, he sees the truth. She was never weak. She was always strong in ways he hadn't yet understood. A fire ignites within him. She was different from him, and now, more than ever, he wants to match that strength. Thanks her for the offer but declines, watching as the stray dog Eno continues its own lonely struggle for survival. He thinks of those who have truly overcome their limits, their bodies bearing the marks of a hard-won victory. With newfound resolve, Daniel tells her clearly he wants to overcome his weaknesses through his own power. Crystal watches him, her expression softening as she explains that depending on others only makes you want to lean on them forever. She's shocked. How could this boy be thinking the exact same thing she is? Who is he, really? In her eyes, he isn't just a random student anymore. He is a strong man with a spirit that commands respect. The atmosphere grows heavy with a silent, mutual understanding, a connection forming in the quiet of the night. Suddenly, the silence is shattered by a harsh, familiar voice screaming pig at the top of its lungs. Zoe appears in a blue tracksuit, fuming as she demands to know why Daniel is slacking off and locking up the store. She's livid, having waited outside for ages, and Daniel can only stammer out a panicked apology. Crystal looks on in confusion, wondering who this beautiful, aggressive girl is and how she knows him. Even the dog Eno starts barking frantically, sensing the sudden spike in tension and chaos. Zoe doesn't give him a second to breathe, dragging him away while he tries to explain he was just feeding the dog. She steals one last glance back, her eyes narrow and suspicious, clearly bothered by the scene she just interrupted. Crystal stands alone, the silence returning as quickly as it left, leaving her with a lingering sense of curiosity. Zoe's expression remains grim, her thoughts a whirlwind of jealousy and confusion as she marches forward. The sky opens up and a cold rain begins to fall, soaking the alleyway where the dog Eno lies shivering. The poor creature is in agony. It's time. The puppies are coming, and the pain is almost too much to bear. In its mind, it mourns its lost treasure, a simple piece of cloth given by its master, now stolen by a cruel hand. It whimpers an apology to its master, feeling like it failed its duty to protect the house because of the crippling pain. The cold is biting, and the fear of him returning haunts the dog's every breath as it huddles against the wall. A dark shadow suddenly looms over the alley, cutting through the curtain of rain as someone approaches the helpless animal. Figure draws closer, their intentions unknown, as the dog looks up with eyes full of terror and exhaustion.